Okay, will the May 15, 2013 meeting of the Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission please come to order? Thank you all for your attendance this evening. For the benefit of those present who may not have participated in the P&Z meeting, I will review our public hearing procedure, which is as follows. We will read the legal notice for the public hearing portion of this meeting as published in the local newspaper. The applicants will then be invited to come forward and present their case, explaining to the commission and the public what is specifically being requested of the subject property. Written comments from town agencies pertaining to the application will then be read into the record if the commission has received any. The commissioners will then ask their clarifying questions, and then the public will be invited to ask any questions they have about the application. I will then ask those in attendance who support the application to please come forward and make their statement, and then I will ask those in attendance who oppose the application to please come forward and make their statements regarding the application. As this is a public hearing, it will be necessary for those coming forward to ask questions and/or to speak for or against any application to please identify themselves and state their name and address for the record prior to proceeding. At the conclusion of all statements from the public and the applicant, I will close the public hearing on the application. The applicant and the public are then free to leave or remain for the balance of the public hearings and the regular meeting, at which time the commission will discuss each application under consideration and try to reach a decision. Each applicant will be notified in writing as to any decisions of this commission. The applicant and/or any aggrieved party with legal standing will have the right to appeal this decision to Superior Court within the statutory time frame if they so desire. All decisions reached at this meeting will be available to the public the next day by either visiting or calling the Planning and Zoning office after 9:30 a.m. Seated this evening are the following Guilford Planning and Zoning Commissioners: David Grigsby, Walter Corbiere, I'm Ray Bauer, Tom Cost, Peter Golitz, Frank DeAndrea. Town staff present this evening is George Crowell, Town Planner, and Kevin McGee, the Environmental Planner. Videographer this evening is Shannon Gale, and our recording secretary is Donette. Will the secretary please read the legal notice?
Legal notice, Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission. Notice is hereby given that the Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission will hold a public hearing on May 15th, 2013 at 7:30 p.m. at the Nathaniel B. Green Community Center, Monunketuk Room, 2nd floor, 32 Church Street, Guilford, Connecticut, for the following purposes. 1. Martha Pearson, Pearson, correct? Person.
Yes.
Martha Person, property known as parcel 42 and 43 Marshall Avenue, map 10, lot 57, zone R2. Coastal Area Management Site Plan application for construction of single-family home and appurtenances within 25 feet of critical coastal resource. Section 273-91. Number 2, Town of Guilford, map 2, Sachem's Head Association, Coastal Area Management Site Plan application for Falcon Road improvements within 100 feet of critical coastal resources, section 273-91. Number 3, Town of Guilford, map 11 and 12, Old Quarry Association, Coastal Area Management Site Plan application for Old Quarry Road improvements within 100 feet of critical coastal resources, section 273-91. Number 4, Christina Freddy, property located at 120 Leeds Island Road, map 21, lot 27-1, zone R5, Coastal Area Management Site Plan review for construction of new residence with associated septic system and stormwater management, section 273-91. 5, the Dudley Foundation, property located at 2351 Durham Road, map 105, lot 24, zone R8, revision to special permit to allow events not associated with museum activities of the farm, section 273-99. Number 6, St. George's Roman Catholic Church Corporation, property located at 41 Whitfield Street, map 39, lot 96, zone R1. Special permit for accessory structure over 750 square feet, section 273-99. Number 7, Shiano, Tony, and Gennaro, property located at 31 Lake Drive, map 114, lot 9-A1, zone R8. Special permit to convert guest house into ice cream shop, section 273-245C. Continued from April 17th, 2013. Number 8, 111 West Lane, LLC, property located at 111 West Lane, map 5, lot 31A, zone R6. Coastal Area Management Site Plan revision to allow removal and replacement of trees and bushes that were storm damaged within 100 feet of critical coastal resources, section 273-91. Copies of these applications are available for inspection in the office of the Planning and Zoning Commission, Town Hall South, 50 Boston Street, Guilford, Connecticut. At this hearing, persons may attend and be heard, and written communications will be received. Dated at Guilford, Connecticut, this 25th day of April, 2013. Ray Bauer, Chairman.
Thank you very much, Walt. Folks, if anybody's here for the Martha Person application, that's 42 and 43 Marshall Avenue, that's a CAM site plan application for the construction of a single-family home. We've received a request from the applicant to continue that to June 19th, so we will not be hearing that application tonight. If that's the only reason you're here this evening, you don't have to come to this meeting or our next one. You would come to the June 19th meeting. It's going to be off until then. So while we're at it, I'd like to just ask for a motion to continue that application until June 19th.
So
Do I, any discussion? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We're going to pick up now with Tony and Gennaro Sciano. This is a special permit to convert a guest house into an ice cream shop. We have, continuing this application, was opened on April 17th. We did conduct a site walk of it, so before we start, I'd like to get a report from the site walk committee.
before we start, I'm going to recuse myself from this.
Okay, let the record show, please, that Tom Cost has recused himself from this particular matter. Peter, I think you and David
Yes.
were on. Maybe you can both give us your
I was very
insights.
impressed. I was very impressed with the property. I think it's well kept. I think it's an ideal place for an ice cream, facility, I guess, because it kind of goes hand in hand with what they have, and I was just impressed with the whole operation.
Okay. David, do you have any input?
Other than one of the things was the neighbor to the, arrow on this, to the south, perhaps, had expressed concern about screening, and there was relatively significant existing screening, and we saw holes dug for the planting of a significant number of relatively to be tightly packed trees, which presumably should help address some of the concerns.
All right. Before we go to the applicant, and then we'll go to the public for comments for and against again, we have a few letters from town staff. First one we have is from Dennis Johnson. He's the Director of Health of Town of Guilford. The applicant's proposed ice cream shop will occupy the first floor of the existing two-bedroom guest house. The food service operation will be limited to preparation of single-service ice cream. Adequate septic system capacity is currently available on site to accommodate the food establishment. Based upon site plan review, it is recommended that the applicant's proposed use be permitted. In addition, based on what occurred at the last meeting, I believe we asked the town engineer and the chief of police to take a look at some of the site issues and some of the traffic issues. We received a letter from Jim Portley, Town Engineer, Director of Public Works, dated May 14th regarding this application. The Chief of Police and I met on site to review parking and traffic issues relating to the proposed use as presented on the site plan dated May 3rd, 2013. After inspection of the property, it was clear that there is ample space on site to provide parking, but there is a problem with access and egress. The potential traffic issues and congestion of Hoop Pole Road and Lake Drive, however, are easily remedied with the establishment of a one-way traffic pattern in off Hoop Pole Road via the two existing driveways and out via the northerly driveway onto Lake Drive. The southerly driveway on Hoop Pole Road would be restricted by the 9 parking spaces shown on the site plan. The maneuvering and egress of cars from those 9 spaces would congest the entrance and possibly cause backup onto the town road. This area should be left as lawn, which will allow the property to retain the attractive street appearance. It is recommended the Planning and Zoning Commission approve the ice cream parlor on a trial basis for 1 year with the condition that prior to the issuance of the certificate of zoning compliance, traffic control signage be installed on the site acceptable to the town engineer. Okay, one other item before we go to the applicant. We have received a number of letters from the public regarding this. I'm not going to go through each one, but we've received 25 letters in favor of the application and 15 letters opposed to it. Would the applicant like to make any additional statements into the record at this time?
I'm Tricia McKenzie, I live on 711 Oakland Hill Road in Madison, Connecticut.
Thank you.
And I'm speaking for Tony and Jerry tonight, the owners, and prepared something I'm just going to read tonight. Lakeside Ice Cream will be a family-friendly local small business. It is located off of the state road but easily accessible. We feel that we will attract families from Lake Quanapog returning home for the day and families after dinner. Jerry, Tony, Will, and I feel that this would be a nice stop to walk onto our farm, see the historic barns, scenic fields, and lake views, sit on a bench, visit the animals, and eat an ice cream on a hot day. We plan to decorate the inside of the building with antiques and historic pictures from the area, which will include Lakeside Farm's history as a dairy farm built in 1860. The ice cream shop will be supplied with some Connecticut dairy products, such as milk and cream. Our customers will be able to purchase these items, contributing not only to Guilford's growth, but to another farm's success as well. Jerry and Tony love their farm, and everyone should keep in mind that this business is in their backyard, and they will always have respect and consideration for their neighbors, as well as the town, with any concerns or problems that may arise, and will deal with them in an appropriate manner. Lakeside Ice Cream would be an extension of our current approved farm and business special permit. We feel that this business will maintain the sense of Guilford as a small, historically agricultural town. Expectations for Lakeside Ice Cream are to be seen as an asset to Guilford's growth and development. Our current business at Lakeside Feed serves about 25 to 35 cars per day. We expect that half of these customers will also be customers at our ice cream shop. In addition, we're expecting between 15 and 25 additional cars per day. Our property has an adequate number of parking spaces to accommodate this number. Understanding the current concerns of some of our neighbors about traffic and trash, we have added some additional outside trash cans, which I have Rob Charving here to explain the changes to the site plan. And they will be checked by our staff to make sure nothing overflows or anything is picked up that is on the ground. We have also added a line of arborvitae hedges to ensure that our neighbors will maintain a nice sight line as well as their privacy. Making the traffic flow through our existing driveway one way will ensure that traffic won't be an issue through the Hoop Hole Road, Lake Drive intersection, as well as keeping our customers safe in our driveway. Lakeside Ice Cream will be a family destination. In this regard, our operating hours will be from 11:30 a.m. to 9 o'clock p.m. All deliveries for both Lakeside Feed and Lakeside Ice Cream will be received before 11 a.m. Deliveries will also be instructed to come via Route 77 and not Lake Drive or Hoop Hole Road. In conclusion, we want this to be an enjoyable, scenic, family destination, and we feel that we are following all protocols required by the town of Guilford and outlined by the Plan of Conservation and Development.
And you have somebody else who's going to present for you?
Yes.
Okay, we do that?
Copy of-
Yes, if you could give it to Donette, we'll make sure that gets added to the record. Sir?
Robert Charning, an architect, I live at 122 White Birch Drive, Guilford, Connecticut. I was asked by Lakeside Feed to just help formalize their proposal. I understand at the first meeting they had some hand sketches, and I've endeavored to put everything to scale by using a Google Maps overlay because we do not have a survey. I also found out yesterday that there was this discussion with the police commissioner and Mr. Courtney, so we've adjusted the site plan. I think you received an update
Okay,
to
so
that
then,
site plan.
as far as you know, you're in conformance with what they've
That's
requested in their
correct. I
letter.
can point that out. You'll notice the one-way traffic, the reduction of the parking around the Llama Pen, and additional trash bin near some of the more remote parking from the store entry. I also wanted to point out that, as with the previous submission, we put split rail fence and some small fencing around the immediate area of the ice cream parlor so that there's a contained location for benches, trash, and people gathering. Other than that, I think this is extremely consistent with what you've seen previously and what you were aware of while you walked the property.
Okay, thank you. Questions from the commission?
So could you just show us where the parking spaces were that,
Sure.
This-
This is the Llama Pen here.
Mhm.
There was radial parking off of this southerly driveway. That's correct. which
Radial.
they removed. So that
I have it
people
on the
aren't
other
back
map.
in. Right.
If you flip, you can see them.
yeah.
Okay. Any other questions from the commission?
But those were 6 spaces?
Yeah.
9 spaces.
9 spaces.
Sorry, it's been a little while since I've looked at it.
Fine, that's fine, thank you.
Any
You
questions?
said they're all gone, right?
They are all
All of
gone,
them.
that's correct. There's the overflow parking in the rear, and again, we've laid this out with rather generous parking spaces, 9 by 20 with adequate aisles. You know, it's a loose gravel driveway with a little bit of paving, so we've taken our stab of trying to organize it along with the one-way traffic.
Any questions from the public? And let me just say, this is a time for questions. We'll get to statements for and against the application after this. So questions?
Yep,
Yes, sir?
Thomas Crosby, I represent the neighbor. I wondered if you could identify, does the plan show benches or the seating that's going to be outside?
It does indicate location for benches. It doesn't say exactly benches for 6 people or 10 people, but
That was gonna be my question.
it indicates a terrace back here, which is already existing, a fence on the north side, and an area near the entrance.
So do you know how many people can sit on those benches?
Well, we've added a split rail fence so people could also lean against the fence, so the assumption was there would be 4 to 8 benches. It has not been specifically quantified.
So 4 to 8 benches, and do you know the number of people who could sit on each bench?
No, I don't.
Okay. And then another question, does the plan indicate lighting?
Yes, it does.
And is there going to be any new lighting added in connection with this project?
We've indicated a new light at the front entrance. There are already building-mounted lights elsewhere on the property that illuminate safe passage around the building.
So how many lights total are being added?
Minimally, 1 light at the front entrance,
Facing in what direction? Or
facing
shining
towards Route 77. So that would be west.
west?
That's correct.
And then, I have one more question?
Sure, absolutely.
With respect to the landscaping, is the landscaping that you presented, the arborvitaes, is that the only landscaping being done? Because there was mention about holes in the ground being dug and posts or something of that
There's a
nature.
significant stand of trees already extant from here to here. You can see this is what the ice cream parlor is. The arborvitae is going here to fill the gap between this stand and mature trees there.
And other than the arborvitaes, is that the only landscaping?
At this point, that's all that's indicated.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the public? Yeah. Yes.
Heidi Smith, 885 Lake Drive. Last meeting, there was, the estimated traffic count for the feed store was between 35 and 50 cars today, a day. That's been dropped off to 25 to 35 with an additional 20. Can you become profitable selling ice cream with only 20 additional people at $4 a ice cream cone?
Yes. Because we own the building.
So at selling 20 ice creams a day makes it worthwhile venture in 1,100 square foot building?
Well, we figure more than likely the extra 20 cars that are going to come, there's usually more than 1 person per car. So it would be more than that.
Half of your 35 a day, which would be 17 or so plus 20 more at $4 an ice cream, that's enough to cover labor and utilities and product and inventory that would make it a profitable
yes.
business.
Well, let me just, I mean, again, this is a land use commission. I mean, whether they're profitable or
My
not
point
is
is,
not really something we're going
the
to
traffic,
take into
I guess,
consideration.
if you're going to run a profitable business, buying ice cream is based on volume, I would say. You need to have a large number of people to become profitable, which is going to drive traffic.
All right, so then you're saying
And
that
my-
you don't believe their numbers with traffic?
Exactly. And
Okay.
if there's not been a traffic study that's been requested, how do we know what that number is?
All right, good point. Next, any other questions at this time? Yes, please.
My question is,
Excuse me, name and address for the record, please.
Carol Dubiel, 1079 Route 80, Guilford,
Thank you.
and I've lived there for 40 years, and I live in a residential area, and not too far away, and I go to the lake every day to swim. So I really am, out that way. My question is, if this exception is approved, are you then going to allow expansion or special exceptions for other businesses in North Guilford? For example, the little store. Its footprint could not enlarge when it renovated itself. Lane's Garage, could they ask for special permission to sell something else on Route 80? Are they allowed to do that? What are the chances that they can be something besides an auto body shop if a feed store can be an ice cream store? How about the Valley Motel? Are they allowed to expand? What about the Sportsman's Club? Can they put an addition on and sell something else at the north end of Lake Quantified? Are we not opening Pandora's box here? Allowing an exception to an
Okay,
existing
again, what's your
exception?
question?
My question is, does this make sense? Does this make sense?
Well, we'll get-
North Guilford in a residential area. And my other question is, are we going to have a comprehensive traffic study done for Lake Drive and Route 77? I think it's important. Are we going to do that? And who pays for it?
Okay.
Thank you.
I don't have an answer. Do you have an answer? Okay. Is there another question? Okay. Hearing no...
I have a question.
David?
You indicated there's a new light shown on the plan? Am I missing
Yeah.
it?
EX means existing.
Oh, existing.
Does that mean existing?
No, new
Or
traffic. Well, then I apologize. It must have been removed, but obviously at the front entrance, we're going to add a light. There is a new entrance plan.
Okay, all right, a new light will go there.
A new light will go there. That's what I was referring
And
to.
what kind of a light will that be?
A wall sconce, not a floodlight pointing out, but a wall sconce.
Red, okay. And then when it says new seating, it doesn't actually show anything. Are there any
There
benches along
there are
the
benches,
front?
exactly. I did not go to the extent of indicating every single bench.
There are any benches along the
The
front?
intent is that there's a contained seating area for benches that people eating outside.
Where, I'm sorry, where's the light, which entrance?
See the large arrow that points to the new entrance?
I see two.
Right here.
Oh, up there.
It's not shown on the plan, but you meant to.
It's exactly at the point here.
It's right at the point of the arrow where the new entrance is going to go. That's correct.
I believe you did submit, Mrs. Yano did a new floor plan for the interior space, which the commission members have, I think. It does show the location of the entrance. This,
Any other questions from the commission? Okay, hearing none, I'll ask, is there anybody in the public wishing to speak in favor of this application? Please, ma'am. Yes, please, and if you could state your name and address prior to making your statement.
Barbara Johnson, 148 Broad Street, Guilford. We were a farming community many, many years ago. We have lost many farms through the years. I think it's a fine idea that a farm that is already viable is going to add something additional to our town. So I am speaking in favor of this application. I like farms, I like ice cream. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Please, no, I mean, this isn't a popularity contest, so next person speaking in favor, if, ma'am, please.
Barbara Hammerlin, 130 Clifton Hill Road, North Guilford. I'm speaking in favor of this ice cream shop for quite a number of reasons. Number one is that we are an agricultural community. And also living in this town all my life, knowing the history of that property. Having the ice cream shop sort of brings back what that property was about, a dairy farm. And also supporting local farms with the products that they will be selling is very important as well in this state of Connecticut. The other thing is they are a business. They will be paying personal property taxes to this town. This is something that a lot of people in this town now have to understand. We need to increase our business tax base, and they're willing to do that. I know the property, it's kept clean, and they're wonderful people, and I really wish people would take a good look at what this is all about, and not just, well, you know, it's in a residential area. Yes, it is, but there were milk trucks that used to come in and out of that property as well many years ago. So it's nothing really new.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Okay, why don't we go with you, sir, and then we'll go back over to the corner here.
My name's Bob Stopper. I live on Race Hill Road, and I'm therefore something of a neighbor to this farm. I also have, excuse me, horses, chickens, and a donkey, and we buy our feed there. And we, as you approach Guilford now, you pass signs that recommend Guilford as an agricultural community, which I think is important. And as an agricultural community, I think it's important to maintain feed stores if we're going to have agriculture. I know these people run a beautiful shop. Their landscaping includes more than arborvitae. It includes a very nice stand of eggplant every year. And in terms of the Pandora's box issue, I think that they sell lots of things other than feed itself. They have Chick Day every year, okay? Where you can buy chickens. In the fall they sell pumpkins. There's to suggest that adding ice cream to the shop is going to make a difference. I just think that's sort of a moot point. And finally, as an entrepreneur, I know that to make an operation work in the present economy, you have to sort of squeeze every nickel, and you have to make sure that every employee is being utilized to the fullest. I don't think they expect to get rid of their feed and become a full-time ice cream shop where they need 1,000 customers a day. What they're trying to do is use their present facilities and to make it a viable income for a family business.
Thank you. Thank you for your input. Anyone else, sir?
Michael Russo, 3700 Durham Road. I live just north from this property, and I wanted to add my voice in support because I think it's a continuation and an enhancement of our agricultural heritage in North Guilford. I think it's also going to be a wonderful way for them to utilize a crop which they already produce, which is strawberries. And I'm hoping that they'll be able to incorporate what they already have on the farm, they've maintained on the farm, and include it now with this extension of this new business, which is a continuation of their dairy heritage as well.
Thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak in favor?
Hi, Betsy Christensen. I live right up the road from the Scianos. They're wonderful people. They've brought so much to North Guilford. And it's going to be nice not having to travel to Durham for ice cream or to travel to North Branford for ice cream. And I can go right down the road and get some great ice cream with some fresh strawberries and some wonderful people. I'm definitely in support of their farm.
Thank you for your statement. Yes.
Hi, I'm Kimberly Ozga. I live at 43 Lake Drive. Actually, I'm the neighbor to the, over here, it's my pool. And I've lived there for 15 years with my family. We've had no trouble. We love them as people, neighbors. They take care of their property immaculately. And we have no problem with ice cream. We love ice cream, so we say all for it.
This is you.
Yes, with the pool in the back.
Thank you for your input. Anyone else wishing to make a statement in favor?
Hi, Kim Stebbins, 3460 Durham Road. We're located right across Route 77 from the current Lakeside Beach now. And we lived there for 15 years. They've had an open door policy with their property since the moment we moved in. We have 3 children that walk across with other guests or anyone who's at the home to enjoy the animals, whether they're there or not. That's what kind of people they are. If you had any, they're very approachable as a neighborhood neighbor. If you have any problem at all, that you can bring it up to them. They want to please the neighborhood. They're community people, and I think it's a perfect setting for the addition of the ice cream. I mean, I looked across the street today, it's beautifully landscaped. It'll invite the opportunity for employment for the neighborhood teenager kids to work there, and I think it adds much more than disrupts. It has appeal.
Thank you for your input. Anyone else wishing to? Sir, you first, and then the gentleman behind you. That's okay, you can come up behind him if you'd like. You're next.
You go first, I can
wait. Oh, you go first, and then you're next, sir.
Okay. Douglas Somerton, 630 South Hoop Hall Road. I've been doing business with Lakeside for a long time. When they bought the place, they really restored it, made it beautiful. I think the ice cream would be a great addition to the farm stand. It'll keep people staying up in North Guilford, bring some new people in North Guilford to see the agricultural operations up there. They can go across the street to buy tomatoes, corn, cucumbers, whatever. Go over there, buy feed if they need it for their pets or for their animals, and enjoy some ice cream while doing their feed shopping. I look forward to it so I can get an ice cream when I buy feed. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir, you're next.
I'm Buster Scranton, 3380 Durham Road, and I'm the neighbor to the west. Everything they've done at Lakeside Feed has been done very well, and I expect that this would be no different.
All right, thank you. Anybody else? Okay, and then the person in the back will be next.
Janet Dudley, 167 Clapboard Hill Road. We live downtown, however, our family farm is almost an adjoining neighbor across the lake from the property. We also have done business with them since they started the business there, and as everyone else has pointed out, they do an exceptional job keeping the property up. It's well maintained, they're excellent business people, and I think it would be a welcome addition to North Guilford.
Thank you. Sir.
Fred Bishop, 281 Woodland Road, Guilford, Connecticut. I am in favor of the ice cream shop at Lakeside Feed. The Scianos are really wonderful, great people. They're very professional, and they keep their property well maintained. I think that some of the people at this meeting were addressing concerns about traffic, and I think that an ice cream shop would be a benefit to the area, and it wouldn't really increase traffic, but just the traffic that's there now could just swing in and grab an ice cream. And they'll go home smiling and probably not get in an accident, and it'll be a better deal.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else wishing to speak in favor? Sir.
I'm Brian McClone. I'm the Economic Development Coordinator, also a resident, 622 Mulberry Point Lane. I really probably can't add a lot. All the others that are here are residents, neighbors that know this family. I've had the conversations in recent days about the business and fully support what they're trying to do. I mean, here we have a retail, it's really a retail business. We have a farm business, it's a retail business. This is an extension of their business. So the profitability questions and concerns, it's an accessory item that they can help strengthen their overall business. It's not unusual for retail businesses to add product lines back and forth to solidify and strengthen their business overall. I think it's going to add to the character of that area, the way they plan to decorate it and bring back some of the heritage and history from the dairy farm. I think the questions about traffic are certainly relative, but you know, we're talking about 25 or 30 or so cars a day. We talked about their chick day. And that one day they have 100+ cars and manage the flow in and out. So if they're wildly successful and even double 40, 50 cars a day, from the experiences of what I heard, I think they'll be able to manage that. Give them a chance to get started. We'll see with Jim's comments and Tom Taraval, our engineering people that have a lot more experience in this, and they've adapted very quickly to their recommended changes. It seems to make sense. The other things like trash management that they've addressed quickly, so they're listening to their neighbors. They want to be a good neighbor. This is, important to them. So it just seems they're trying to address concerns ahead of time. So I'd like to, again, endorse this business as well as an extension to Lakeside Feed.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to support the application? Sir.
I won't come up here. I have a big mouth. My name is Joe Genera, 900 Route 80. I am also in favor of this proposal. For so many years, Guilford and our state in general has lost so many farms, and I truly believe Lakeside has set a model for what a true operational, but at the same time profitable farming can be like. And if anyone has not been there, I ask that you go there. It's picturesque. It's a park. The way it's set up, they address every needs of the community. They work with the scouts, with churches, with families, with 4-H club, and everything is family oriented. This isn't a business that's going to attract motorcycle clubs from Hartford or something like that. They want to support farms, they want to support family, and getting kids there to learn about animals, to learn about farming, and to see the beauty of what it can be, instead of sitting at home in front of Nintendo. I understand the concerns as far as Pandora box and all that, but every issue is decided on a case-by-case basis. So if this gets approved, it's not going to affect whether another business gets approved. It's going to be approved or disapproved based on its merits. Another feature I personally happen to like, and for me and other people with disabilities, they've addressed accessibility issues in terms of wheelchair access into and out of the buildings and things of that nature. They weren't asked to, but they just did it because that's the type of people they are. So I myself am fully in favor of this.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, yes, sir.
Matthew Schelling, 351 Great Hill Road. We've run an immaculate farm there on the Skianos for 20 plus years. Like everybody else is saying, agriculture is part of the community. Farms are disappearing. This would be a benefit. They run 4-H there. A lot of kids events there. This is an opportunity for the family to bring out, to see the animals and see a great environment. It's an extension. I mean, they got a long farm there. I just feel that it really would benefit the community.
All right, thank you, sir. Yes.
I'm Jill Walter Robinson, 575 Clapboard Hill Road. I run the Guilford Riding School, which is pretty much about children, and we deal with Lakeside Feed, and they are also a lot about children. I know that they help in the 4-H clubs and stuff, and I think it's a way of bringing, as other people have said, of bringing family to a more agricultural setting so that they can see what it's about and see what it's all about. So I'm in favor of that.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of the application? Going once, going twice? Okay. Would there be anybody who wishes to speak against the application? Attorney Frost, why don't you come first?
Good, thank you. I'd like to, again, first I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Attorney Thomas Crosby. I'm at 23 Boston Street here in Guilford. I go for the Guilford residents, and my law practice is on the Guilford Green. I represent a neighbor to, I guess, can we put the plan up on the board? Do you mind if I do that?
No, no problem at all.
Do you mind?
Please.
I represent the neighbor which is to the, I guess there's no Compass Rosio, but it's to the south. And as you can see on Hoop Hole Road, the property which is adjacent to the farm is my client, which is 1605 Hoop Hole Road. So even though that the Lake Drive property, the applicant has a Lake Drive address, we have a Hoop Hole Road address. And at this point, I'd like Odie Conan to stand up. Odie is the neighbor immediately adjacent. I'd like to hand a few items if I could. I'm just going to introduce you into the record if I could. Let me give you this packet here. And I want to give you each a packet. I apologize in advance for not necessarily going through this in order, but I do think it's important that to give you a sense of what the concerns are. My client opposes this application. The special permit, and let me give you a summary of my argument, then I'll try to get into the specifics. Basically, we have 4 reasons we're against this. We're not opposed to agricultural use. We're not opposed to farms in Guilford. We're opposed to a retail, commercial ice cream shop in a residential zone. Now, I will ask you this. Go home tonight, 8 o'clock, if you left here at 8 o'clock, go sit in front of your television set, or go open up your book, and think about whether you'd want to be living next door to an operation that might be open till 9 o'clock at night in your residential area, and have a number of vehicles pull in and pull out with the attendant noise, attendant traffic, and so forth to disturb the peace and quiet of your neighborhood. Now, the application for the special permit fails for 4 reasons. First of all, it has to comply with the zoning requirements. There is no site plan. Now, this is, in a sense, a site plan, but there's no site plan as per your regulations. And I think that that's important because the opposition to this, my client's objection to it, the other neighbors who will be here, and others that are interested in speaking against this, are concerned that you have sufficient information in front of you in order to make an informed decision. I mean, that's only normal. And you would require that if an ice cream shop opened up on Route 1. If an ice cream shop opened up somewhere else in Guilford, you would require them to come in with a site plan. Now, the second reason is that the application fails to meet the standards in 273-80. I've included in my packet a copy of your regulations, and I've highlighted what 273-80 requires. And 273-80 in the beginning says you really need to consider 4 things that are relevant to this proceeding tonight. The location, type, character, and size of the use of the building, and it has to be in harmony with the neighborhood. This is a residential neighborhood. And it cannot impair the value of adjoining properties. Odie, will you stand up? Will your property increase in value or will it decrease in value because an ice cream shop generating, by their definition, 25 to 30 cars are coming in every day?
I think I can just throw my meat in the trash.
Okay, well, there's no question that it'll go down. Nobody in this building or in this tonight wants to live next to or have their house next to an ice cream shop. Your house value will decrease.
No,
So-
you'll get your chance later.
The other next door neighbor.
Sir, you already had your chance. Let's let him complete. Give him the same courtesy he gave you. Please continue.
Thank you. Secondly, the nature and location of the use or structure has to be such that there's adequate access to it and from it. And then specifically subsection B talks about fire equipment. I've given you a picture on the top because if you know this intersection, this comes both Lake Drive and Hoop Hole Road funnel down into a single bridge. The bridge is barely wide enough for 2 cars to pass at the same time. That's a fact. But that's a fact that if they had a...
Please, do not interrupt.
Give
Yeah, I
him the
will give you the
courtesy
courtesy,
that
yeah.
he gave you. Please let
When
him,
you speak, I promise I won't interrupt you, so please do me the same.
give him the opportunity to complete his statement.
Thank you. One of the other things that we'd like to see here is a traffic study. This is adjacent, well, nearly adjacent to Route 77. I don't believe the State Traffic Commission has weighed in on that, but certainly it's customary and ordinary to ask the applicant to present traffic data. Some people throw numbers out. Well, it might be 25, it might be 30. You have in your file a letter from one of the neighbors that quoted the dairy served in Durham. Average daily number of people, 500 a day. On a weekend, like Memorial Weekend, 1,000. Now, we don't expect to get 1,000. I'm sure they don't too. We hope to God, if you approved it, that there's not 1,000. But You're a business. You're not trying to discourage people from coming in and buying ice cream. You're trying to encourage people to come in and buy ice cream. So you can anticipate that there will be an increase in buying. We all have to agree that the ice cream, everybody said they like ice cream. I like ice cream too. And it happens to be a great little spot, doesn't it? It's right at the end of Quanapog Lake. There's a bridge there, which people walk along, bike, and so forth. And there's a dam on the other side. And so it's a very picturesque spot. We agree with that. It's a little bit on a hill. You can actually see Lake Quanapog nicely from this location. My point is simply this. How can you make a decision without the correct or the right amount of information before you, in fairness to the people in the neighborhood? Make them produce the information for the traffic quantity. What's the current level of traffic flow? What will be the potential increase in peak hours? What is the sightline distance for coming down Hoopo Road? There is no traffic signals coming down Hoopo Road. Hoopo Road funnels directly into that bridge and over the bridge, and you know it forms an X. The X is Lake Drive and Hoopo Road, goes over the bridge, Lake Drive and Hoopo Road continue out on the other side. And they hit 77. And that tiny little bridge that separates 77 from this property will be the location where people will come in from. There may be some people that will come down Hoopo Road. There may be some people coming down Lake Drive. Right now, there are two signs at or near 77 that identify this is the lakeside feed. Those signs, I'm sure, are also going to say, it would only make sense, ice cream. And you know that the people on 77 coming north and south are going to pull in here. All I'm simply asking is to ask you to consider asking the applicant, who has no formal site plan, to please produce the traffic information so that the correct information can be before you at the time. Lastly, they've asked you to waive that site plan requirement. You know, the 273-245 farm accessory use standards. I've included that in this as well. And I've also highlighted that. And I think it deserves reading. Subsection C says this: farm stands. It says at least 50% of all farm products must be produced by the farmer of the stand. I don't know a lot about agriculture, but I know llamas don't yield ice cream or cream. So we know that the ice cream's coming from off-site. Currently, we have 18-wheelers that come in and deliver feed. Currently, we have a feed operation there. Currently, we have Nancy's Wool, or whatever her name is, that's in the sign. If you look at the sign closely. So they're selling wool, they're selling feed, they sell horse tack, they have llamas there, and now they want an ice cream shop. Now, there is a children's story, now that I'm a grandfather, it's called If You Give a Mouse a Cookie. If you give a mouse a cookie, it'll want a glass of milk. If you give a mouse a glass of milk, it might want a straw. If you give them a straw, it might get milk on its face and want to get a napkin. I think it's important that you consider the fact that since this property has been owned by the applicant, there have been no less than 5 different occasions on which they've come before you to ask you for approvals. They came in 2000 and they asked for a farm stand, and you gave them a farm stand, and you gave them the right to produce or to give a special permit to have certain types of feed and other related articles sold. You gave them in February of 2001, in my materials, Lakeside Feed and Tony's Wool Room, a sign. And then you gave them approval for a special permit in June of 2005. And that was a special permit to add an outdoor storage shed for 450 square feet. Then they came in August of 2005 and they wanted a variance. And you gave them a variance. And you gave them a variance for a guest house. And then they came in December of 2006 and they wanted a bigger sign. And you gave them a bigger sign. And so the applicant's no stranger to coming in here and asking for more. Hence my analogy of give a mouse a cookie. Because I think that what I'm trying to present is that right now you could say, let's try this for a little while. They're going to try to sell more ice cream. I assume that people who sell ice cream would probably sell t-shirts. People that sell t-shirts might sell hats. I mean, it's just a simple matter of, is this an appropriate use for this neighborhood? And that's what the regulations say. For you to determine, and it's your decision, of course, to decide whether it's in the same character and in harmony and conformity with the neighborhood and will not hinder or discourage and impair the value of neighboring properties. And lastly, I'd like to say this. Although the lot appears to be the right size, and I guess this is a llama pen, and there's been some comments about how they would enter and how they would exit. When you're on 77, you're not going to know how to enter or exit anything. You're going to come down 77 north, or go up north and come down south, and you're going to get off either on Hoop Pole Road or you're going to make a left on Lake Drive. And you're going to come into this property. And once you get across that very narrow bridge that maybe only one car and a half, maybe two going very slowly can cross at the same time, you're not going to know at that point where you're supposed to enter and exit. If you turn around, go up Lakeview Drive, you'll see that it'll say do not enter. So you'll turn around and go back the other way. I think that this invites, and you've got to agree with me, this is a challenging location for a site to have that much, and we don't know how much, traffic to funnel into that location. It seems to me that Hoop Pole Road and Lake Drive, that, let's say, narrow area is barely wide enough to handle this kind of increased volume. And I think that this email that you received, which I put in my packet, is the last item from Chris and Heidi Smith, where they cite Bob Pavlik, the owner of the Durham Dairy Serve. I think you can take into consideration and certainly consider that there's a volume of traffic that's going to increase as a result of the ice cream sale. And you have to assume they want to be successful and increase their business. So feed, llamas, tack, guest house, wool, and now ice cream. And all we're saying is that by special permit, at least give the consideration that my client is asking to the traffic issue and perhaps a more specific site plan with regard to the facility. Because my client knows what's going to happen. People are going to pull in, they're going to pull near her property. They may, I mean, it's not going to, anything that the people that own this can control, but people are going to throw things out the window, people are going to throw napkins on the ground. That's just going to happen. That happens with any commercial operation. But why would my client, who wants to go home tonight and sit in front of her TV or read a book at 9 o'clock, have to have a number of vehicles come there, an unknown number of vehicles come there? Oh, we're not going to have motorcyclists. Are you going to put a sign up there that says no motorcyclists? We're not going to have any bad guys come here. You're going to put a sign up saying no bad guys can get ice cream? Bad guys like ice cream too. You know, I mean, so the question is, how are you going to control it once you open up the door? And it's my client's position that this is a farm, this is a residential area. We're happy to have them have Chick Day and sell pumpkins and sell strawberries and all the other things they sell, but is it really necessary to give them the approval for yet one more use, which is not really consistent with the neighborhood? So in conclusion or summary, I would like you to consider the items that I've introduced. I'm just going to mention them for the record. I've given you two photographs. The photograph, I believe, is photograph 1 and 2, if you want to call it that, is the site view into the property. The top picture, you see the house, and you see the sign. You see one of the 3 entrances that they have. The second photograph is coming down Hoop Pole Road. I've given you a copy of 273-245C, which I've recited to you, concerning the farm stand and the requirement that the owner of the farm produce 50% of the product that's being served at the farm stand, which is clearly not the case. They're not going to be making, there are no dairy cows there. I've given you a copy of 273-79, which has the standards. I've also given you the zoning history. I provided to you a number of items that I said in 2000, 2001, 2004, 2005. I won't repeat all those years, but I've given you copies in this of the special permit applications that I recited earlier. I've also given you a copy of Mr. Kroll's letter. I don't believe that his letter's been totally responded to. I don't think that in his April 19th letter that I've included in my packet, that they've demonstrated whether there's additional lighting or there's seating or how many people can be seated. I think that's something a site plan does. We don't know how many people, and therefore I think that the seating is something that you can't just say, well, we're going to put some benches out here. We don't know how big they are. We don't know how many people would sit there. I think that's important because that's going to be a dependent factor on the parking as well as the volume. And lastly, I did present their application. Their application, as you know, is basically, I counted it was like 37 words. And I just think that we deserve more than that. I believe in the margin of the application they mentioned 8:30. I heard tonight that they want to do this until 9. So I guess there might be a little difference in that point. But again, my client opposes the operation for whatever time period, and it will be 7 months a year that they want to do this. And so, you know, I think that's considerable. And lastly, I've also introduced a copy of Tony, or rather, of Chris and Heidi Smith, Chris Kent and Heidi Smith's email to the zoning office. I don't know if all those letters get in the file, but I want to make sure that one did, because it recites the dairy farms, or the dairy served volume, which I think you should take into consideration. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak against the application? Yes, over there, please.
Again, Carol DeVille, and I live at 1079 Route 80 in Milford, Connecticut. I really love ice cream, and I love farms, and I love North Guilford. And I think Lake Quanpog is one of the most beautiful natural resources that Guilford has. I am asking you to scrutinize this request, which I am opposed to, as carefully as you would scrutinize an application for a similar item to occur downtown Guilford. Although Guilford is one town, we aren't treated differently. We are treated differently in North Guilford as far as zoning goes. If the BP station at the corner of Route 1 and Route 77 had had its roof collapsed by snow 3 years ago in a snowstorm, there wouldn't still be rubble at the corner of Route 77 and 80. If you drive up 77 and you take a look at the D&S garage, which fell down several years ago, you're going to see a pile of cinder blocks, you're going to see an exposed oil tank, and a bunch of leftover garage rubble. Is that allowed? Who sees that? Who sees that? Planning and zoning. Are there zoning regulations? In downtown Guilford, that would not exist. There's been a lot of money spent recently, or proposed to be spent, on Jacobs Beach. Huge amounts of money. There's a little bathhouse at Lake Quanapug. It took months for that bathhouse to be painted. I go swimming there every day, 3 or 4 months a year, as long as I can. It's ridiculous. I can't tell you how ridiculous it is. A coat of paint on a building. Let's take a look at North Guilford. I love the farms. To see Buster on his tractor still farming is awesome. It's incredible. I support these farms. An ice cream stand is not a farm. The request in the folder in the Planning and Zoning Office said, this is takeout ice cream, takeout only. You look at the plan, the little hand-drawn plan. I could have done better. And there are 2 tables inside and a counter. What are those for? If it's takeout, why are they inside? It's inconsistent. It's haphazard. It's incomplete. Again, you're opening Pandora's box. The little store can't expand its footprint. Lanes can only be an auto body shop. You know, it's ridiculous. If someone wants to enlarge the Valley Motel, is that going to be allowed? Can we get a special exception for that? North Guilford is beautiful. It's a residentially zoned community. I want to keep it that way. And I think a lot of other people do too. And I hope that the Planning and Zoning Commission will drive around and take a look and see what we have and what we want to keep. And I think we need a comprehensive traffic study. We have a fire department on Route 77. Is the traffic going to affect its operation? These are questions somebody needs to ask. Get our heads out of the sand. Thank you.
All right, anyone else wishing to speak against the application? Yes, ma'am, and then we'll come back over here. Yes, please.
Heidi Smith, 85 Lake Drive. Attorney Crosby mentioned many of my points, so I'll skip over the ones that he already addressed. The traffic is an issue on Lake Drive. Many of the neighbors call on a regular basis to the police department about the traffic. You travel Lake Drive, there are signs out that say, drive like your children live here. I walk it on a regular basis. It is curvy. There is brush that comes out. You have to crisscross just to walk on the opposite side to not get hit. I appreciate that they want the grain trucks to go down another road, but the Poolin grain 18-wheeler went past my house at 8:05 in the morning on April 25th. Speeding by, waiting while I'm waiting with my child for the bus. You're not going to control the traffic to not come down Lake Drive that is already there. And I think we set a precedent. There are applications in town where we're concerned about the number of uses in residential neighborhoods and limiting them to 2. And this one has a family, it has a primary residence on it, it has a large feed store. It's a 5-acre lot with traffic being difficult at the intersection. And I think that how many different uses can one 5-acre lot actually handle? And an ice cream shop is not farming. And without a traffic study, you don't know. And you're constantly moving around with the number of cars that are on it that have to walk there. And so without a traffic study, I don't know how you can approve this application. And if you do approve it based on the police chief's recommendation, who's going to monitor the usage on Lake Drive and the traffic over that 1-year trial period? And at what cost to who? Whose responsibility is that to do that?
Okay, I believe you were next. And then we'll go.
My name is Ophir Purkonen, and I live at 1605 Woodfall Road, which is the adjacent property. And as my representative, Mr. Crosby, really made a really thorough representation of my opinion and what we're concerned with. I would just like to reiterate that this is not a farm operation they're asking for. This is a retail store. We are in a residential area. There's no way this operation could ever control who will be their visitors, what volume of visitors will be coming. They're not clear of their operating hours. They're not clear of their ability to handle the traffic. I know this from the fact that we live next door, that those chick days, there are hundreds of cars parked on the hill, on the field, that we look at every day. Now, I certainly wish that if this is allowed to operate, that they will be successful. I own my own business. I certainly don't want a business to open and fail. However, my concern is that if this is allowed, how is this going to be controlled? How are we going to manage the traffic? How are we going to manage the noise? How are we going to, the pollution? The people will be walking, they will be throwing their trash into the lake. They will be coming down into that beautiful little cove where the dam is, and they will be looking at that beautiful waterfall, and they're going to throw their little napkins right in there. Beautiful. For how long? Also, my concern is lighting. We are already in a situation that I actually gave Mr. Crosby a picture that may or may not be in your packet. There's a light there that shines into our yard currently to a point that is disturbing. Adding more lighting, which is clearly necessary, will be even more disturbing. And these are not acceptable conditions to me. And I hope that you go home tonight and you will think about this. And you will think if you would like to live next to Durham Dairy Surf. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, please.
My name is Joyce Donovan. I'm at 312 Lake Drive, and I walk Lake Drive twice a day with my dog. It's a very narrow road. As Tony pointed out, it curves. There's no sidewalk. Cars go by very rapidly. You have to get off the road in time to make the hillside or the grass. Somebody's lawn. The speed limit is 25 miles an hour. With all this new traffic coming in, are they going to maintain 25 miles an hour? I don't think so.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak against the application? Okay, would the applicant like to make their final rebuttal?
Can I introduce that photograph that my client was
Yes, please. Do you have that with you?
I do.
Okay. Let's make that part of the record. Public hearing is still open. So there's an additional photograph there.
Thank you. Excuse me for interrupting you.
pass that around to...
Sure, I will, right now.
Before we put it in the record, just so the commission can have a look at it. Excuse me just a second, as soon as we...
This is a good one. Ma'am, would you mind spelling your names for us? I'm sorry.
Yes, of course. O-U-T-I?
O-T?
Yep. Last name is spelled P-U-T. P-U-T.
P-U-T.
K-O-N-E-N.
K-O-N-E-N.
This was taken about 5 o'clock today.
Okay, if you think you make a rebuttal.
Yes, I would like to say that comparing the store that we're proposing to a Durham Dairy Serve, I feel is a very, not even in the same ballpark comparison. They're on 3 major roads that meet right in front of their door. They are surrounded by other businesses, gas stations, restaurants, all kinds of, I mean, Route 79, Route 77, and Route 17 are all state roads that converge. There's traffic lights that make people stop and look in there. I don't think that you can really compare their volume to what we would be expecting. Yes, we are off of 77, but they are also open, I believe, until 11 o'clock. We're not proposing that. We don't want to be open until 11 o'clock. As I said before, this business would be in Jerry and Tony's backyard. They don't want people there all hours of the night and everything else. As far as the lighting, as you said, the light that's there is existing. It's been there. I don't even know how long. And the only light that we're proposing putting on is to illuminate the doorway on the front of the building, which does not face their property. My only other thing is I have support. We all have support from all of the other surrounding neighbors, all the ones that look at our property, all the ones that are adjacent to our property, that touch our property, with the exception of this one. And it is, I don't know, I don't even know what to say except they're the only ones that don't actually live there.
Let me just, so I'm clear, what are the exact hours of operation that you're asking for?
11:30 to 9 o'clock.
7 days a week?
Yes.
Okay, and from what month to what month, or what date to what date?
We would like to open the week before our Chick Day, which would be basically 2 weeks before Easter, which sometimes is mid-March, sometimes would be late March. And then I believe September 31st, like the very end of September, beginning of October, right then. We honestly haven't really gotten there quite yet because we're still kind of researching and going to see what happens. If we are hoping to get the families and people from the lake that are swimming and taking swimming lessons there with all their kids, that are coming in and out on the other side of the lake, so they would be coming over to us at a more steady stream, not anything all at once. Therefore, when the lake closes, we will probably close very soon after.
All right, any other questions from the commission?
Sorry. I would also like to mention that as far as what we produce on the farm, we do produce strawberries, which we use for this business. We have pear trees, we have blueberries, we grow pumpkins, we have tomatoes, we grow eggplant, we grow many other things that we sell. We raise chickens. We also shear the llamas, and Tony actually spins the wool and sells the wool and uses it in our 4-H club, as well as other educational things like, we always say Romney Dad Tavern. On Memorial Day, we always go and have a demonstration and things like that. So we do produce and are a working farm.
Any other questions from the commission, either to Tom or to the applicant?
Yeah, I have two, I think, for Attorney Crosby. The percentage that you mentioned here in our regs.
Yes.
I'm confused about whether or not that's by volume, by item, by cost, or by some other measure.
Well, I agree, and I think that, some of the specificities that I was requesting in terms of site plan would be perhaps one of the items that they should present, not that we have to ask them what it is or what, guess. That percentage, you're right, it's a good question. At least 50% of all farm products must be produced by the farmer of the stand. So, and at this point, you have no information before you. Is that the current new application?
But it's
And is it the ice
us,
cream?
we're the ones who are not specific, because 50% of what? By if they have
Is it a dollar
38
volume?
products
It says
and
50% of the products.
of the total hours.
It does
of
say
the items.
50% of all farm products,
So if they're producing
well, they're not producing
strawberries,
any-
pears, blueberries,
Right.
eggplant, pumpkins.
So the question is, do they grow the pumpkins there? Okay, so they've said they grow some fruit there. Do
Yeah,
they
that's
grow?
true.
They don't grow the feed there. I'm not trying to say
No,
that
that's true.
disrespectfully.
Yeah.
They're not growing the tack there that's in the tack shop. I don't know. Maybe the wool's coming from the llamas. We know all of the ice cream's not going to be produced on the farm. It's going to be
That's
brought in.
fair.
So I guess the question is, without that information, have they supplied a sufficient amount of information for you to satisfy yourself that that requirement's met? And that's where the applicant, I believe, has the burden of proof.
Okay. Any other questions? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing on this matter. Okay, thank you. Moving along, we'll go to 111 West Lane LLC. This is a site plan revision to allow the removal and replacement of trees and brushes that were storm damaged within 100 feet of the coastal area resource. Someone presenting? All right.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes, please.
David Beckerman, I'm the resident at 111. We don't raise chickens, we don't have ice cream. What we think is a very simple process. Because of the storm, we lost all of our shrubs that were here. This is what it looked like before the storm. This is what it looks like now. I would just like permission to plant exactly what I had before, and what it looks like at this point. There are 2 steps, and I can, 2 stepways. Here you can see the erosion from the steps, so we need to fill that in. And this step is all right, and then on this side, we probably will have to move a rock or 2 just for the walkway and insurance purposes. That's all we want.
All right, thank you. We did sidewalk it. David, I think you and I were there, and Walter, I think you joined us as well. It did look like what we're trying to do here is to just get back to where we were before the hurricane. We did have questions of, I think was it one of the engineers that took us there about how to bring heavy equipment in to do this without damaging some of the wetlands on the side, and I think we would agree that that can be done successfully. Do you, either Walter, you or David, have any other comments you'd like to make about the sidewalk?
You're also looking to replace some rocks that have fallen off of the edge.
Based on what we were told. It was an original estimate of almost $10,000 to put the rocks back 3 feet, back where they were.
Yeah.
And then there was an additional to the $10,000, a recommendation by the DEP to do something else, which was another $12,000. So we decided to let Mother Nature leave it exactly where it is.
Okay. So those rocks that have rolled essentially from an upright, sort of like soldier stones,
Here's
down
where they
about
are.
3
This
feet.
is what it looks like.
Yeah.
We took it to the, that's what it looks like.
And it's the same damage sort of throughout all along the line. The
Yes.
rocks were standing up and
Yes.
they rolled down, and you're planning to leave them like that and simply
Yeah,
do
all we're going to do
plantings
is
and
fill
erosion
the
control.
dirt here and plant all these spring flowers.
We have 2 letters in the file. The first one is from John Goucher from the Office of Long Island Sound Programs, State DEEP. Thank you for meeting with the applicant and taking additional photos of the site. This is addressed to Kevin McGee. The additional information was quite helpful. Based on a review of the application materials and the additional photos you provide, we offer the following recommendations for the applicants and the Commission's consideration. The additional photos make clear that the pre-existing revetment, which consists of boulders piled along the shoreline, performed very well during the 2 major coastal storms, particularly since it is not an engineered structure. Most of the erosion occurred at the top of the revetment, where receding wave energy pulled soil back through the boulders into Long Island Sound. Similar damage occurred in many areas of Connecticut's coast behind revetments and seawalls of varying heights, designs, and orientations. We believe a more effective approach to reducing the severity of future erosion would be to install a bed of crushed stone wrapped in filter fabric behind the proposed revetment, similar to how an engineered revetment would be designed. Boulders near the top of the structure that need to be removed in order to install the stone bedding should be replaced as near to the original locations as possible. With a top course of soil, the site should be able to be restored to its pre-storm condition. Note that no seawall, revetment, or other shoreline armament can prevent future erosion damage from every storm. In addition, we have a letter from Kevin McGee. Kevin, I'll read it, and then maybe you can tell us if there's anything else you'd like to make. Kevin McGee, environmental planner for the town of Guilford, dated May 14th. The applicant is proposing to repair storm damage consisting of returning stones and boulders that were moved by the storm surge from 2 staircases at the top of a stone revetment. The applicant is requesting to pull boulders up from the revetment that were pushed down by wave action. A review of the application and site photographs by John Goucher of the Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection and site observation I conducted revealed that the damage to the top of the stone revetment is from the waves breaking on the wall and forcing of the returning water, removing the soil from the area, resulting in a depression at the top of the wall. There was no evidence that rocks were removed from the area except at the location of the 2 staircases. Based on this review, John Goucher recommended in his letter that in order to reduce the severity of future erosion, that a bed of crushed stone wrapped in filter fabric be placed behind the proposed revetment. In a conversation that I had with John Goucher regarding this recommendation, he noted that he did not want boulders removed from the revetment since the boulders are locked into place. The moving of boulders could jeopardize the integrity of the revetment. I recommend that the Commission notes as conditions of approval the applicant follows the recommendations of John Goucher in his April 30th email. The placement of rocks is limited to the repair of the 2 stone cases. No boulders are to be removed from the revetment except for those noted in John Goucher's letter dated April 30th, 2013. Kevin, do you have any other comments you'd like to make? And you've discussed this all with the applicant?
Yeah, we had a conversation
Okay.
Tuesday on the phone with the applicant. We discussed the different options there. And the option that actually he's going with now is not even locking the top of the wall with stone or gravel right now. It sounds like he just wants to just place topsoil back in there and plant, if that's correct the way I understand here. But he is, like I said, John said he could lock in or put stone on the top there to lock in, but not move any more rocks because you want to mess up the integrity of the structure there.
Okay.
Like I said, there's 2 staircases, what I saw was out there, was damaged, and those rocks do need to be replaced to make his access down to the coastal resource a viable one.
Are you okay with that? Or?
Well, one of the staircases, you don't even have to move, all I have to do is just put dirt in it.
Okay.
I just have to fill that in.
All right.
The only one that we will have to move, I think there's 2 large rocks on this side that we'd have to do. Other than that, that's fine.
All right.
So we're
David.
not doing the crushed stone and
It's his
fabric?
option. If you want to prove that he wants to do that, that's okay by John Goucher. But
I have no
it's up to
problem
the
putting the
applicant.
crushed stone in here with the wrapping. What I'm not going to do is to move all these stones back at $25,000. That didn't make sense.
Okay.
So that crushed stone wrapping is much less expensive than the revetment and the other.
Yeah, it's $2,000. If that's, you want me to do that, I'll do it.
Is it necessary?
I'm confused. It sounds like John Goucher is saying he's recommending it. You're saying,
Well, he's recommending it to prevent future damage to lock in, so there's
If I was
less chance of
moving the
soil
rocks
being
back.
If
pushed
you were.
through.
Okay.
So if he gets another storm, we won't have the soil pushed through.
Okay,
I
but
mean,
since we're
the
not
applicant
moving
thinks
the
a
rocks-
chance if he wants to put topsoil back there and another storm could push it back out. John's thinking that the stone itself may prevent pull some of the soil back up on top.
because they're not moving the larger rocks.
Right, not moving
it's no
the bigger-
longer necessarily a requirement that we would have
Right.
in our.
Hence, leave it up to him.
I think that's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, leave it,
Okay.
he has the,
So
he has
we'll-
the options here to work
Okay,
with.
so we should,
With the conditions on it.
up to his determination as to whether he wants to do that or not. We don't need to make that a condition.
Right, the only thing he needs, I said the conditions are no rocks, other than what's necessary for those fixing of the steps would be moved.
Okay, and you're okay with that part? All right. All right, any other questions from the commission? Are there any questions from the public? Anybody in the public wishing to speak in favor? Anybody in the public wishing to speak against? Okay, going one more time, any questions or comments from anyone on the commission? Okay, hearing none, we'll close the public hearing on this matter and move on to St. George's Roman Catholic Church, property located 41 Whitfield Street. Oh, I'm sorry, I did miss one that was ahead of you. The Dudley Foundation, property located at 2351 Durham Road. This is a revision to a special permit to allow events not associated with the museum activities of the farm. Is there somebody presenting on that?
I'm going to recuse myself again.
Anybody from Dudley Farm presenting?
Well, I'm,
And I just would bring to the commission's attention, we also have a request to waive a professionally prepared site plan, so we'll take that up later, but
I'm Buster Scranton. I live at 3880 Durham Road, Guilford, and I'm the president of the Dudley Foundation. And with us also tonight, we have Janet Dudley, who's the vice president, who is very much involved with the activities at the barn. I think we can answer any questions you have for us tonight.
okay, well, what is it exactly that you want to do?
Well, we've had other events not associated with the museum, such as the Land Trust has had their annual meeting at our barn several times. In the fall, we have a group of retired teachers who would like to have a luncheon there. And we also do have some wedding receptions and similar events held at the barn.
All right, so you're not making any changes to any of the physical
No, we're not.
location, not changing the building, that nature, parking, no issues, George, or anything else? We do have a letter in the file from Dennis Johnson, Director of Health, regarding the application dated May 15th. The applicant's proposed use will likely increase wastewater usage during temporary events. Adequate leaching capacity is present within the recently expanded septic system serving the community barn building. It is recommended that the applicant's proposed use be permitted. Any other questions from the commission members? Any questions from the public? Yes.
Charles Beal, 1079 Route 80, Guilford, Connecticut. I love the farm. I'm a member of the farm, but I have some real questions. I live a quarter of a mile from the Dudley farm. I understand you're booked for weddings for most of the summer. I have a lot of questions about that. There are big tents out there. People come and go. It's become an event center. If you have weddings booked for almost every weekend during the summer.
Okay, well, excuse me, but this is time for questions. We'll get to for and against.
Pardon me?
We'll get to
Okay,
statements for it.
all
So
right.
Lee, what are your
Then I
questions?
want to ask specifically, how
Yes.
many weddings will there be at the farm in the next, between now and the end of October?
I'll defer to Janet. She handles the weddings.
Right now, there are 5 confirmed.
And how many people will attend? How many people are these weddings for?
Only the barn seating capacity is 85, and we keep most of the events are at 85. If it exceeds that, then we have asked for a permit to put up a tent, which we have not had a problem with in the past. If there is a tent put up, the people having the reception are required to bring in additional portable toilet facilities. They're also asked to provide off-site parking and shuttle transportation to the site so that there is not a problem with the parking and it doesn't exceed the available spaces that are there. There has not been an event there. The seating capacity of the barn is 85. The largest event that we've had there that required a tent was 120. So we are not We don't have the capability, nor do we have the desire to host an event that's much larger than that.
Sure, David, with
how late do the weddings run? Do you have outdoor amplified music during
No.
the weddings?
No. The music, if there is any, is contained inside the barn, and we have never had a complaint from any of the neighbors about noise, because we're volunteer run and we don't want to be there any later. Every event needs to end by 11 o'clock at night, which means basically they're starting to close down around 10:30 so that they can be out and over by 11 o'clock.
Any
Also,
further?
the fact that we don't have a kitchen facility there kind of limits the size of the event.
Okay. Next question.
Yeah, my question involves, is it going to get bigger? How much bigger is it going to get? I mean, you're saying it will stay limited, which is fine by me, but I'm asking, is it going to get bigger? And are we then going to be in a situation where we ask for another exception or build another barn, or is, will it stay contained at a certain size? Is there a guarantee? Again, we're in a residential area, and it is a non-conforming use. And that's why I'm asking this. Alcohol is served. Is a permit needed for that? I mean, how?
The site won't lend itself to expansion.
We do not, and we have no plans to do any more than one wedding. We're not looking to become an event facility. We are an agricultural museum. We have a farmer's market. That is our primary focus. We happen to have a barn that's used as a community resource for North Guilford. And a lot of those uses fall into this category. They are not museum activities per se, but as Buster pointed out, the Land Trust uses it. There are many other groups in North Guilford that use it. We have Eagle Scout ceremonies that are held in the barn. There are a lot of additional uses other than museum activities per se. And so what we would like to do is be able to allow those. There are event facilities that host 4 to 6 weddings a weekend. We have no intention of doing that. We're volunteer run, and we simply don't have the volunteers to do that. It's basically one event on a weekend. Sometimes there would be an evening event and then maybe a smaller event on a Sunday afternoon for 20 to 40 people.
Any other questions?
No, I'm concerned that it not expand out of control.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the public regarding this application? Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of the application? Please.
Barbara Hammerlin, 130 Crooked Hill Road, North Guilford. I would like to speak in favor of this. I am also involved with a volunteer organization, the Guilford Agricultural Society, and I know what the cost of maintaining buildings and your property, etc., to be able to continue with whatever avenue they're going on. And by having these events there, it helps to bring in revenue so that they can upkeep their buildings, their property, etc. Also, many may not remember, but Fisherman's Nook was right down the street from there that used to be utilized for events and that. And unfortunately, those people got older financially, they could not do it any longer, so that became defunct. So this at least gives another avenue for someone to have it in a very scenic area and to also help the foundation out.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Okay, is there anyone who would like to speak against the application? Any other questions from the commission or from the public? Okay, hearing none, we will close this public hearing, and we will definitely now move to St. George's Roman Catholic Church. This is a special permit for an accessory structure over 750 square feet.
Good evening. I'm Father Anthony Smith from St. George Church at 33 and 41 Whitfield Street, and we are here to present a plan for a post and beam storage structure, well, multiple use structure actually, and we're asking the Planning and Zoning Board to approve our plan. The structure is a 36 by 36 post and beam barn structure, and it's a 22 by 36 main section with a 14 by 36 lean-to. The look of the barn will be a traditional barn that you would see just about anywhere in Guilford. We thought it was very important that we kind of keep the theme of Guilford when we're designing our barn. And the use of the barn will be, like I said, multiple use. We'll be using it for our food pantry, and we'll be using it for a workshop. There'll be storage in the top part up here, and then the bottom part, these two bays, well, three bays actually, will be essentially empty, but used for multiple use. During food pantry, they'll be doing sorting and packing, and people will be able to pick up their bags there. We'll have seasonal use for the rest of the barn. So there'll be certain activities that occur throughout the year. And we have got the variance for the height. The height is higher than 50 feet. And we did get approval through the Historic Commission
All right.
for the barn.
Thank you. We have a few letters in the file from town staff. First one is from Dennis Johnson, Director of Health, dated May 13th. The location of the applicant's proposed storage shed does not conflict with the septic system currently existing on site. In addition, we have a letter from Kevin McGee, the environmental planner, regarding the application. St. George's Church proposes to construct a 36 by 36 foot barn structure on the southern grassy area adjacent to the asphalt parking lot. The plans submitted do not provide erosion control measures or stormwater treatment methods. I recommend as a condition of approval that the contractor provides erosion control measures to protect the adjacent catch basins from siltation, and that roof water be treated by a 2 foot deep by 2 foot wide stone trenchers constructed under the roof eaves. The erosion control measures should be inspected by the zoning enforcement officer prior to any site work. Was that reviewed with the applicants at all prior to tonight, or?
I just got the plans today on it, so it's a...
Okay, are you aware of those conditions that okay, do you think you'll have a problem with meeting those conditions?
The second part, the drainage, that's just basically a stone, what
Right, yeah, just a stone, crushed stone, sort of a trench drain to catch the material so it doesn't erode the soil as it lands off the roof, and as a way of pushing it back into the ground so it's not running across the parking lot.
Yeah, I don't think that would be an issue.
Okay, so then so you wouldn't have a problem if that was made a condition of the approval?
No, we were actually going to, well, our first thought was to put perhaps a brick patio around the perimeter, but the front part is going to have a gravel driveway. The back, where the lean-to, this part here, we could certainly put a trench back there. That wouldn't be a problem.
I mean, you can carry the brick out, and at the end of the brick, you can then capture it in the stone.
Yeah, I don't think the back part we would have put a brick patio there, so putting a trench there with stone would be not be an issue.
And then the catch basins, all the contractor would need to do is usually line those, right?
Yeah, hay bales around and a silt
fence. So as long as you make the contractor aware of that, that's usually standard operating procedure.
That's just at the base of the, sort of, I guess, the new driveway going into it, there's a basin right there.
Yeah, that would be on the site maps, the driveway there. Catch basin doesn't do a whole lot there, not too much gets caught there. There's another catch basin in the middle that does most of it, but we certainly can put bays and tail bays around.
All right, any questions from the commission? Any questions from the public? Anybody wishing to speak in favor?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
My name is Ken Field. I live on 135 Leeds Island Road. Where are you sourcing your materials from, and who's building it?
Well, the builder, his name is Paul Fox from Heritage Post and Beam. And to be quite honest with you, I don't know where he gets his supplies from. But if you want to leave a business card, I certainly can give it to you.
I'm just curious.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the public? Sir?
Yes, Steve Nickel, 41 Pebble Drive. On behalf of my mother-in-law, whose property abuts the rear of the church, I just wanted to know where this building was actually laid out on the plan.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't have a board for this, but I have my pastor. See here. Over here, this is Whitfield Street over here. The church is over here. Our office building and classroom space is over here in the Sullivan Center. So this is all parking lot here. So the building would be right over in this area here. Okay. There's a building right here, so it doesn't interfere with the line sight there. So it's right in the middle of that grassy area. At the recommendation of the Historic Commission.
Could I say something? Jim Shanley, 33 Whitfield Street. It wasn't our original choice. The Historic Commission told us this is where it had to go. We had it up closer to the parking lot. We had it up closer, and they wanted it farther back, and they wanted it farther back in the front. It was not our first choice.
All right, any other questions from the public? Anyone wishing to speak in favor? Anybody wishing to speak against the application? Any other questions from the commission? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing on this application. The next item is Christine Lafreddy, property located 120 Leeds Island Road, campsite plan review for construction of a new residence with the associated septic systems and stormwater management. Eric.
Anderson Engineering and Surveying Associates, 154 Boston Post Road here in Guilford. As the call to your meeting states, this is for a coastal area management review for construction of a new residence for Christine and John Freddy. This is on 120 Leeds Island Road, which is on the south side of Leeds Island Road as you're driving down. We're going to go past the organization's head. Across the way is the Breakfast Woodworks property. Just beyond this is the area where you go through where we call landing zone. Their property is on the interior lot was established in 1987. They always, in 1987 or even prior to that, always envisioned building a retirement home on this particular site. So that's what we are here to request of the board. So the coastal area management is basically because we are within 100 feet of this tidal wetland marsh. Probably a half a mile down the road here down the marsh is Trolley Road and the outlet into Joshua Bay, I believe, Joshua Cove. So we're quite a ways back from the actual sound itself. All of the properties around here, except for Breakfast Woodworks, are residential. So the project consists of building a house at this location, driveway for access to it, a sanitary system to serve the house, well in the front location, and so we have provided also an area, a gallery system to contain the first inch of runoff from the driveway and the house. And, by the way, we also brought one here very scenic signs out front here and notified all the neighbors as those are required. We have received Planning and Zoning Office received a letter from John Goucher, an environmental analyst, Office of Land and Sound Program, who states that we have reviewed the above referenced proposal for consistency with the Connecticut coastal management policies. I have no comments for the Planning and Zoning Commission's consideration. Please let me know if you have any questions or if you need any additional information. Mr. John Goucher, Environmental Analyst 3, Office of Land and Sound Program. Also in your packet is a letter from Kevin McGee that you will have Kevin read for you. There's a letter from Dennis Johnson, the Planning and Zoning Commission, which states that soil test conducted on the F.X. land, lot revealed, well drained soils, evidence of an elevated water table. Adequate soil is available for installation of a primary septic system and private well facility at the proposed house. We also received approval from the Guilford Inland Wetlands Commission because the property, as outlined in this area, is within the 100-foot review of their inland wetlands land here. So on April 10th, they did approve that. We also received a variance from the Board of Appeals for, we asked them to allow us to put the house in the 35-foot setback. They gave us the variance to put the 10-foot deck in the 35-foot setback, but the house has to be back to 35 feet. So we have I believe we have complied with not only the letter, the intent, everything to do with coastal area management, and we ask for your approval of this application.
Okay, thank you. Kevin, there is a letter from you dated May 9th regarding this. Maybe you could read it or just give us your input before we go to questions.
Okay. The coastal site plan for Christine Alfredi, 120 Leeds Island Road, shows proposed construction of a new house, deck, driveway, and sanitary system. The stormwater management system consists of underground infiltration system designed to treat stormwater from the building's roof gutters and asphalt driveway located adjacent to the house. Stormwater from the driveway is designed to sheet flow off the driveway into the adjacent lawn area. The coastal resource policies applicable for the property are titled Wetlands, Inland Wetlands, and Coastal Hazard Area. The construction activities, which include the removal of trees, blasting, and soil excavations, have the potential to cause damage to the adjacent tidal wetlands. The erosion and sedimentation control measures shown on the plan, silt fence backed by hay bales protected by orange construction fence, are designed to protect the adjacent tidal wetlands and inland wetlands from sedimentation caused by the construction activities. The Guilford Inland Wetlands Commission at its April 10, 2013 meeting approved with conditions regulated activity within the 100-foot jurisdictional review zone. In order to make sure that the coastal resources are protected, I recommend the following condition of approval. The Town of Guilford Zoning Enforcement Office should be notified to inspect the sedimentation erosion controls prior to site work. Soil stockpiles should be contained by silt fence or hay bales. Soil erosion and sedimentation control measures shall be maintained until vegetation is established or a suitable material installed by the zoning enforcement officer. Even though we have approval by inland wetlands, still ask for that condition since there are portions of the property which fall outside the approval there.
Okay, and Eric, you're okay with that as a condition?
So we did right from, pretty much from the beginning, we did show a sufficient erosion fence, and we did state on the plan here that it's the soil and erosion sediment control, which would be a silt fence, hay bales, and orange construction fence. So those comments have been included in the plan.
Okay, very good.
Kevin, when it went before the inland wetlands, that fence was already present, right?
Silt fencing?
Yeah.
No, there's no erosion control on the property I'm aware of.
So what is this?
Erosion control measures haven't been installed, right? Correct?
Oh, they have not been installed yet. They will be installed prior to.
Right, but it was showing on the plan when we looked at it.
Oh, yeah, it's always, it's always on the, as part of the site plan requirements that it has to show erosion control measures.
Okay. And it was there. Okay, thank you.
Yes, it was on there prior to it going to Inland Wetlands Commission.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
We
thank
pretty
you.
much got identical plans between each group.
Yeah.
Good. Any other questions from the commission? Are there any questions from the public regarding the application? Anyone wishing to speak in favor? Anybody wishing to speak against?
Yes.
All right, sir, we'll start with you, and then you're next.
Good evening, my name is John Sotaro, 116 Leeds Island Road. I've been a resident of Guilford for greater than 20 years. I have a medical practice here in town. And I'm here to, in some ways, repay a favor. Mr. Freddie was kind enough to support me for some work I was doing earlier this year in front of this committee. My residence is here at a somewhat higher elevation overlooking the proposed structure. And now that the appropriately obtained wetlands permissions have been granted, I'm in support of Mr. Afridi building this house. I know it's been a dream of his for many years to have a nice retirement home, and I certainly wish him to realize that dream. And I'm hoping that we can harmonize that with my property and personal interest in maintaining the water view that we have out across the wetlands toward the sound. Now, at this time, I understand there's not yet a plan for a structure, but I would ask that that structure clearly stay within height restrictions, and in discussions with Mr. Afridi and his representatives, there has at least been an intention or an inclination to potentially modify, perhaps with a lower foundation slab or other measures, any interferences with the sight line that might again reduce the personal and economic value of my property. So I'm very happy to support this. I would also like to ask Mr. Afridi if he'd be willing to commit to at least a dialogue or keeping me informed as to what he's going to be doing and when he's going to do it, and to try to harmonize both of our objectives in this situation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Sir, I think you were going to make a statement too, or? Yes, please.
My name is Louis Mako. I'm one of the owners of the property across the street, Practice Woodworks. I'm in favor of this project. John Afridi has made a fabulous landscape, both of the property he has here, as well as the property that is being discussed here. And that's about it. I think it's a good idea.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to make a comment? Yes, sir.
My name is Ken Field, partner of this gentleman here in business. We've been there for about 30 years, just across the road from John. Great neighbor, but I also know he's very sensitive to the environment. He put in a garden, which the animals were eating, and he put in fencing to prevent the animals from eating it, instead of using pressure treat, which is the standard, which leaches copper arsenate into the soil. John made the effort to use cedar fence posts. So he is sensitive to it and in sort of adapting to the area. So I'm in favor.
Thank you very much for your input. Is there anyone else wishing to speak for or against the application? Any other questions from the commission or anyone else? Okay, hearing none, we'll close this application and move forward to the Town of Guilford. This is Satcham's Head Association. It's a CAM site plan application for Falcon Road improvements within 100 feet of the coastal area resource. Will you also be doing the next application?
Yes, I will.
Okay, why don't we do both of them at the same time, then to save a little bit of time, and we'll take questions and statements for and against for both of them. So we'll also do the Old Quarry Association, again, a CAM site plan application for the Old Quarry Road improvements.
Good evening, my name is Mark Damiani, Assistant Town Engineer. I represent Falcon Road application. This is the section of Falcon Road near the intersection with Walton Hill Road. What we have going here, this is the south shoulder of Falcon Road. The road is up here, you can see the fence. This is a storm pipe underneath the road. Over the years, we've had some erosion due to the storms from Long Island Sound. the point that there were boulders here that were used to stabilize and support this shoulder and road edge. It's the point now that it's becoming undermined and it's become an unsafe situation, so we need to make repairs. We pursued a couple of options, what we thought would be suitable for this problem. When we thought about replacing these boulders, bringing some more boulders in, and tuck them back in as they were, one of the issues we have here is you can see it's all solid ledge, and it'd be somewhat difficult to get machines down here to place these boulders. We have to do all the work from up on top. It could create a problem with the machines in terms of load and balancing. The other thing we realized is that that's what was here before, and you can see where this pipe is. Basically, this was where the edge of the slope was, the shoulder, and it's all eroded. In time, this would happen again if we put these boulders back, and so it would require maintenance. So we thought of another option is constructing a retaining wall, which is similar to the, it's hard to see in this picture, but this house here has a retaining wall around it. It'd be a concrete reinforced retaining wall. And we would set it up on the top here. Just show you this quickly, this proposed drawing. This is plans of the retaining wall. This is a plan view looking down. This is Falcon Road. This orange line is the wall. It'd be about 100 feet long. The wall thickness about averaging 18 inches. And this is a plan view, a profile view of the road. This orange outline is the road. The red line is the existing profile. The wall height would be about 6 feet. The height would be just slightly lower than the existing edge of road, providing for runoff. It would be we would put a guardrail here to protect from cars going off the wall. The wall will be placed back about 10 feet from the edge of the pavement, providing adequate road shoulder. There is an existing sidewalk here, a 3-foot wide sidewalk, and we'll be replacing that. We felt that this was a more suitable option because it would be built once, it would require little maintenance, and it would serve the function of stabilizing this section of road. In terms of stormwater, as I said before, there's an existing pipe underneath the road which we would replace. We would propose installing a catch basin on the inlet side that's to collect the stormwater, and it would also collect the catch basin would have a sump, and it would have a hood on the top of the basin to collect debris and contaminants before the water entered on this side into the sound. As far as this one, that was pretty much what I had. As far as construction of this wall, it would have to be done from up above on the road. Again, you would not be able to bring machinery down here. The laborers would assemble the forms down here. The concrete truck would probably have to be done with a chute. It'd have to be back here and have to be delivered from a chute for the concrete. The area behind the wall will be backfilled with pervious material. One thing about this wall I do want to mention is that it's solid ledge down here, exposed ledge. What we would also do is where the footing is, we would have metal reinforcement, metal bars that we would drill into the ledge, and they would stick up when we pour the footing. This would provide additional support and strength to the wall. And of course, the wall would be reinforced with steel reinforcement. That's pretty much what I discussed
We have a few letters on this one. Kevin, I think there was one here from John Goucher, which said that the permit application is currently under review. Christopher Amaro, this office is permitting an enforcement analyst evaluating the application, expecting that the review will be completed next week, which will allow the office to post a public notice.
That was for Old Quarry.
Okay, right, that's...
He's not Falcon Road.
Okay, we got it. Okay, so we have it back. Okay, fine. So we have reviewed the proposed municipal improvements for consistency with Connecticut Coastal Management Act policies and offer the following comments from the Planning and Zoning Commission's consideration. The proposed retaining wall meets the criteria stated in the CCMA regarding structural solutions. The proposal appears to be necessary and unavoidable to protect infrastructure, public road from being undermined and creating a hazardous condition. The project includes discharging road runoff captured by the roadside catch basins through the proposed retaining wall into Long Island Sound. Roadside catch basins provide minimal pollutant removal when maintained regularly. However, the proposed stormwater treatment mirrors the existing conditions, which might present the most feasible approach given site conditions. However, the applicant should demonstrate that alternative and/or additional measures that would provide improved treatment are not practical. And then, I guess we have another one here to Mark Diami. Or do I have these?
Yeah, no, you're right. At the bottom, Mark says, would it be acceptable if we provide hooded sump to catch debris?
Okay. And then, I just spoke with Kevin. He reminded me that I had not replied to your email. Adding a hood to the catch basin will provide little additional treatment, but would trap some oil and floating debris. Thus, it represents an improvement over the existing condition. Therefore, I think a hooded catch basin with a sump is acceptable in this case because other measures might not minimize hazards to public safety by minimizing road flooding. Additionally, the small area outside the road leaves little area for other more effective options. The catch basin could also be outfitted with a passive skimmer to better trap and contain hydrocarbons if you think you can properly inspect and replace them when necessary. Let me know if you have any questions. And then, Kevin, I guess you have a letter with regard to this as well. You want to maybe just read this one, the May 13th letter?
Certainly. The Town of Guilford Engineering Department is proposing to construct a concrete retaining wall to stabilize the road shoulder from wave action from coastal storms, installing a catch basin and replacing a 12-inch storm drain pipe. The construction of the retaining wall is consistent with Connecticut DEP policies with erosion control structures since the wall is protecting a public infrastructure. The installation of the catch basin will assist in the protection of Long Island Sound since the proposed catch basin will be constructed with a sump designed to catch sediment and trash. In order to protect the coastal resources of Long Island Sound, it is recommended that erosion control measures should be placed around the catch basin until the roadway is paved, and rinse water from the concrete truck be collected in a container and disposed of an upland disposal area.
Okay, you're okay with those conditions? Okay,
Yes.
good. Any questions from the commission on the Falcon Road application? Any questions from the public? Is there anybody from the public wishing to speak in favor of the application? Anybody in the public wishing to speak against? Okay, hearing none, we'll close the public hearing on this one. We'll move forward with the Old Quarry Road application.
For the record, Mark Diami, Old Quarry Road application. What we have here is, these are some photographs showing parts of Old Quarry Road, the road is surrounded by tidal wetlands, as you can see. This road over the years has been settled. Generally, it was a road for the quarry now, which is now occupied by residences, and it was built with quarry rock. The road is settling, and thus there's frequent flooding from astronomically high tides. As you can see in this photograph down here, this was taken several years ago in the fall during an astronomically high tide. The residents in this area have requested that solution be come up with a solution to this problem. The engineering department has looked at it, and we determined that best solution would be to elevate this road approximately 24 inches. So why we chose 24 inches? We looked at past astronomically high tides over the past couple of years, and generally when those occur, the road in sections, floods in sections like this, generally up to about 2 feet. So we felt that this would be a reasonable solution. It would alleviate flooding from astronomically high tides. We understand it would not relieve flooding from storms and hurricanes. We would have to be raised significantly higher for that. But in discussion with the residents, we felt that their access to their homes would be restored most of the time. There would be a few times during storms that you would have to either evacuate or stay put. So as a result of raising the road, this does affect the tidal wetlands. There will be impact on the tidal wetlands. And as a result, we need a permit from Department of Environmental and Energy Protection and Army Corps. And we're in the process of obtaining those. We're of the understanding that DEP is looking favorably on this project, and we'll, in the next couple of weeks, we'll publish a notice for approval for the public. I guess I'd like to go in some of the, when we were deciding to elevate this road, we were trying to figure out what are our options to do this and minimize the impact on the tidal wetlands, yet achieve our objective. One of the things we thought about was maybe if we narrowed the pavement and still raised the road, we wouldn't have to bring in as much fill and reduce the impact on tidal wetlands. The existing road is about 22 feet wide. It is used by vehicles, also by bicycles and pedestrians. We felt if we were to narrow the road, it would sort of create a public safety problem because the road would be narrow. Most roads of this level of use in town are at least 22, if not more, 24 feet wide. So we didn't see that as a viable alternative. We did try to decide, or we toyed with the idea of actually putting retaining walls on both sides of the road. They would be quite long if they would go down both sides of the road for the length of the road. We felt that this would have more of an impact on the tidal wetlands. The reason why is because we wouldn't be able to put the wall right against the edge of the pavement. We'd have to have a shoulder, so it would be set back a ways. But also there would have to be a footing, and that footing would be several feet wider than the width of the wall thickness, so that during construction we would be disrupting a large amount of wetland, tidal wetlands. And we felt that that would, again, it would be a larger impact on tidal wetlands, and we also felt that long-term maintenance of a wall of this magnitude would be costly and might even impact the tidal wetlands, to maintain it. So we thought about another option of raising the road and just extending the shoulders and the slope, the fill, the slope it down, and then just armor the slope with rock to protect the slopes from storm events. We felt that this was a more reasonable solution because it did not impact the tidal wetlands as much as the wall would be, and aesthetically it would look more appealing. And also, as you can see in this picture, there's a lot of vegetation there. When these wetlands were flagged, a lot of the wetlands are up right against the pavement. We feel with the rock shoulders and the sloping with the fill that eventually the vegetation would creep up and return to where the slopes are. So it would sort of, in effect, come back and restore to what it is right now. So we thought that this was the most viable solution. But as I said before, it's still an impact, and DEP requires us to provide some mitigation for the wetlands that are being affected. I don't know if you're aware of Leeds Island Marsh that's down off Shell Beach Road. That's a marsh that needs to be restored. There's a tide gate there that's in need of repair and replacement. The DEP approached us to see if the town was willing to, as part of the mitigation of this project, replace that tide gate, and we are favorable. We agree that we would be willing to do that. We would be able to replace the tide gate, and also that that marsh is about 40 acres. So not only would it adequately provide mitigation in terms of quantity, one-for-one wetlands for this project, but we have several other roads in town that will need similar elevation. And we discussed this with DEP, and we added up the total impact of wetlands for all these roads, and this restoration of Leeds Island Marsh, the state DEP feels that that would be adequate for these other projects when they come forward. I guess briefly I can explain a little bit about the construction procedures to show you, actually I should show you sort of an actual drawing, just what they're I have another sheet here, but it's hard, I can show you. This is the end of Old Quarry Road. This is the circle here. then the picture of this has to be attached to that and a drawing. And this is a profile. As you can see down here, this line down here is the existing elevation of the road, and the green line is proposed elevation. As you can see, depending on where you are on the road, we're going to be elevating the road anywhere from 12 to 24 inches. This orange area up here is the extent of tidal wetland impact. As you can see, so there is a significant amount with the filling of the road. The approximate impact on tidal wetlands is about 19,000 square feet, or it'll be about 980 cubic yards of fill being placed in these orange areas. As far as construction procedures, we have a couple of equalizing culverts that need to be replaced. There's one here and one farther down on the road. What we would do is, prior to any construction, we would establish our sedimentation and erosion control devices, our silt fencing on both sides of the road. And when it comes to, then we would replace these equalizing culverts. We would provide a sandbag coffer dam to have a dry area. We would do the work when it's low tide. Generally, in low tide, a lot of this marsh drains so that we would be working in water. We would replace the culverts first, and then we would come through and pulverize the existing asphalt. And we use that material, leave it in place, use that as part of the proposed road fill to elevate the road. We would have to supplement with that with imported clean fill. And once we get that in place and compacted, we would have to place the armoring of stone along the edges of the road slopes, so that that armoring would protect the road from future storm events. It would be compacted with a machine, and then we would repave the road and do the final landscaping. This area here is like a circle. It's all grass. We intend to use this as a staging area for machinery and materials, so there won't be any construction or machinery stored on the road. We feel we can maintain one lane of traffic while we're doing this, so there will always be there'll be alternate traffic movement. I guess as far as stormwater, this project, the road is not being widened, so we're not really increasing any impervious area. The existing stormwater runs off the road, sheet flows off the road. There won't be any proposed curbing, so we will, when the road is elevated, it will still sheet flow off the road. So this really, as far as stormwater, the stormwater will behave for the proposed project as it does now with the existing project. Pretty much again, but I have my question.
I already read the John Goucher memo. Kevin, do you want to just review the memo that you have on the Quarry Road project, and then we'll go to questions?
Certainly. Town of Guilford Engineering Department is proposing to reconstruct Old Quarry Road from the Town Road to its end, approximately 2,500 feet long by 22 feet wide, by elevating the road approximately 24 inches to alleviate flooding issues. The side slopes to support the raised road will cause filling of approximately 15,000 square feet of tidal wetlands. The work will also involve the replacement of existing culverts and head walls. The engineering department has included in Part 2A of the application a description of the construction sequence, and it has provided plans for erosion and sedimentation control measures that are designed to protect the adjacent resources from additional harm. The filling of the wetlands adjacent to the road requires additional permits from the Connecticut Department of Environmental Protection and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. The requirement of the state and federal permitting for filling the adjacent wetlands is the town is required to conduct a wetlands mitigation project. The town is currently discussing a mitigation project with Connecticut DEP on a nearby tidal wetlands. In order to make sure that coastal resources are protected, the town of Guilford zoning enforcement officers should be notified to inspect sedimentation and erosion control measures prior to any site work. Soil stockpiles should be contained by silt fencing and or hay bales. Soil and erosion controls and sedimentation control measures shall be maintained until all site work has been completed. Due to the long duration of the project, the town engineering department shall inspect the erosion control measures weekly and after rainfall events of greater than 1 inch. Any damage erosion control measures need to be repaired within 24 hours of an issue being noticed.
Thank you. And you're okay with all of those?
Yes.
Conditions. Very good. All right, questions from the commission? Hearing none.
Mr.
Sure,
sorry.
go ahead, please.
Mr. Damiani, I'm looking to figure out how many people live on the scary end of the road. How many people would be trapped in a hurricane situation if there was no evacuation?
I can give you a household, I don't know, like.
Oh, yeah, households, I'm sorry, 2 households.
Probably at least 20, maybe 25.
And you think that it would be more cost-effective and more appropriate to elevate only to above the astronomically high tides, not to the level that would allow ingress and egress during storms? Would that be another 2 feet or another 5 feet?
That would probably, more than that, probably 3 or 4 feet, depending on the size of the storm. Yeah, 100-year storm, probably at least another 3 feet. So it would be a significant impact on wetlands. If we were to continue this sloping out.
So that square footage would be maybe double or more?
Oh, at least, yeah.
More, definitely more than double?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Mark, I have a question. I guess you could comment, and you could go either way on this, but do they make paving material now that's less pervious than standard asphalt?
They make a variety of type of pavements. Of course, we've just found that some of the ones that are a little bit more porous in terms of maintenance, they require more maintenance. And also in an area like this where it floods, and actually this lower end is sort of in a, FEMA has it in a velocity zone. I don't know the extent of wave action around here, but with the water rising and ebbing during the storm, you can even see in this picture here, there's some water is flowing currents with a pervious pavement. We just have some concerns that how durable it would be as opposed to the traditional asphalt. But to answer your question, they do make sort of, there are pavements that sort of pervious and non-pervious. The other thing we've discovered, actually we've done something up on Stepstone Hill and some road down off Mulberry Plant. I think it's Huckleberry Court. Actually, it is sort of a more porous pavement, but we found that during the winter that it tends to hold the water more. The water doesn't drain as well. So we've developed some concerns about icing. We haven't had any major problems on these roads, and it's questionable on a road like this, it's right near the water, but we found that was sort of a downside of some of these porous pavements. I guess it's, it's a trade-off as always.
And the VE zones are all the zones are being updated on July 8th of this year.
That's correct, they are. Yes.
And that's going to push much further in. They only go up.
Yeah, I've looked at those, I've tried to review those maps. Actually in town, some areas are going up, some areas are not changing, some areas are going, it's kind of a mixed bag.
Some are actually going down in our town?
Yeah, not many, but there are some that have been reduced a little bit. Most of them are staying the same or going up.
And that doesn't affect your considerations here at all?
No, because those water elevations are significantly higher than what we're designing for. And those are more isolated events. We've had, in the past few years, we've had one a year. Generally, a 100-year storm, you have 1% chance of it happening in any given year. Hopefully, we wouldn't be seeing more than one of those in a year. Usually, those you would have a lot more warning. People don't have the warning with these astronomically high tides. They figure, well, it's just going to be a high tide and it's not going to be an issue. And it's kind of strange because sometimes it'll rise and sometimes it doesn't rise as much, sometimes it rises more, whereas if it's a real storm event, everybody knows and they know enough ahead of time to take proper action.
Thank you.
How many feet of this road, for example, the bottom picture there, you said you were going to do 2,100 feet?
Yes.
How many feet of the road are actually subject to being covered during that tide?
Let's see, be quick. Yeah. Generally, this area in here, so that's about 300 feet, and then just show you this is the balance of the project. you picture this, this is Andrews Road here, 146, and this is the worst area here, which is about 400, you're talking about at least 700 feet of road that potentially floods. In fact, this picture down here, this picture here is taken right in this area here. Pretty much at the beginning of the road, you come off 146.
So it wouldn't make any sense to try to contour the road to some extent to where you know the water's going to come up, to rise that area up and not rise the rest of the road up?
Well, that's sort of what, by picking this elevation, it's the crown is going to be at 2 feet above the existing crown, but then it still will be crowned off so that the water would flow off. Generally, what we're trying to do is, if you look in this picture in here, the shoulders are flooding, and thus people, when they drive through here, if they can get through here, they're going down the middle of the road. And what we're trying to do is get the shoulders raised so that the width is still maintained during these high tides.
Okay. Any other questions from the commission? Questions from the public? Ma'am, and then Sid, you can go next.
Barb Hammerlin, North Guilford. I just had a question. I was looking at your original line and then the proposed line. On your other drawing, it looks somewhat like a roller coaster ride with the height of it. I mean, I don't, without really seeing visually, it just looks like you're peaking up, then coming down, then peaking up, and then coming down according to the drawing. It just seems like a pretty hefty, incline and decline.
Okay.
Is it a gradual grade, is what I'm asking?
Yeah, it's more gradual. The scale on this, this scale is exaggerated versus this scale. If I were to draw this vertical scale at this scale, you wouldn't even see this on this drawing. So it's exaggerated like 4 to 1.
Okay. And then the other question I had, I'm assuming there's marsh on both sides,
yes,
which there is, and then the water. Is there any thought of maybe putting some type of underground pipe when you're doing this so that water can flow in and out to maybe help prevent anything from flowing? If you got water moving somewhere, it does help to dissipate the flow that could go over. Is there any thought
Okay,
of
is
that?
this during construction or after the road is finished?
No, during construction. For the completed project.
Okay.
But to add that in during the construction.
Well, there are 2 existing pipes and that supposedly equalize the water on both sides of the road now, and we're going to be actually enlarging those. One I think is 15 inches, the other one, take a look on here and see exactly. Replace existing 15-inch pipe with a 24-inch pipe, so we're making that one larger, and then this one is a 24-inch pipe with a 48-inch
No,
pipe.
that was just a question.
Okay,
I didn't
yeah.
notice it in the.
Oh, okay.
That's
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Sid?
Yeah, how much time will this buy you before you may have to raise the road again because of sea level rise?
It depends on, it's hard to predict because nobody knows how fast the water's going to rise, but I would say for the next 20, 30 years, it would be, based on some of the predictions I heard, that this would be adequate. And by that time, usually a road after 20, 25 years, it's got to be resurfaced anyway. So we can do the same thing again. We can come through, pulverize the pavement, and maybe have to add maybe a little bit more fill, but it won't be as drastic now because the road will not have settled.
But at that point in time, if you're going to have to raise it higher, will the bed that you have, it's not just a case of resurfacing it in 20 or 30 years, I would assume you'd have to raise it higher with the bed that you are creating now, be able to support a further addition?
Yeah, I don't see a problem with that, because generally this original road is placed on a quarry rock. It's quite, there's been hardly anything done on that road since it's been put in. I mean, we just chip sealed it. There's been no major work done on that road, and that's probably been there well over 60, 70, I don't know how many years. So I basically adding more fill on top of it, it wouldn't, I think you're concerned about it just the weight, maybe sinking or?
Well, I'm not an engineer, so I'm not rushing to judgment, but I would assume if you're figuring a sea level rise of between 3 feet and 4 feet by the end of the century, with seasonal high tides, another foot typically as they are now, on top of that, at some point in time, beyond 30 years, you're going to have to add some further significant layer to what you have, and that might be additional stress and require a different footprint on the road at that point in time. Is this the time to consider that, or can we wait?
No, I think we can wait, because if it's going to be significant footprint change, we would have to go back to DEP and the Army Corps anyways to do any type of major work like that. So we would just, as we're doing now, we would get the proper permits in place and the same procedure. I mean, not that cost is, you know, we have to consider cost. I'm not saying that, but if we were to generally, we also, based on the funding we had at this point, we're raising much more, we would have to pursue additional funding measures too. So it's, but in talking with the residents, they were comfortable with what we were doing as far as the elevation of the road, that it would alleviate a good portion of the flooding, except during, you know, high storm events.
Any other questions? Anybody wishing to speak in favor? Anybody wishing to speak against? Please.
I just wish to speak.
Go ahead.
No, certainly something needs to be done with this road, so in that sense, I guess I'm speaking in favor. My concern is that it's a solution to a short-term problem that will become steadily more significant over time. And I think that at this point in time, as we consider things like this, it's important to think in the longer term, even if it costs a little bit more money, so that we have a solution that will be viable. Also to point out that solving this road's problem is not solving the neighborhood's problem. They've got similar areas on 146 to the left and the right that pose as much of a problem for passage as this portion of the road does. Furthermore, this road, the area that's being elevated supports 32 houses worth an aggregate of $93 million and roughly $1 million a year in tax base. There are problems with water along the shoreline. There are problems with sewage along the shoreline. If we're raising the road, but at some point in time they need utilities run in there, does that create another problem? So I guess the thought that I would share with the Commission is that as we consider more and more of these things, we not only look at the immediate problem, but some of the follow-on problems that may occur sooner than we'd like to think, and what the aggregate cost of all of them may be, and what the best approach is in the long-term interest of the town.
Is that 93 million that you mentioned a pretty hard number, or?
That's what I got off of the town's records. That's market value.
Just recently.
Okay, any other comments from the public regarding the application? Any other questions from the commission? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing on this.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I think the Shiano application is going to require a little bit of discussion, so what I would propose we do is move through the other applications first, and then we'll come back to that one. Try to get as many people out of here as early as we can. First one is 111 Westland. If I can get a motion on that, please.
I move to accept the application as proposed. Is that correct? No, not correct. The whole thing. Keep going.
Nice try.
All right. Voted that the Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission approve a coastal site plan application for 111 West Lane LLC at 111 West Lane, map 5, lot 31A, as shown on an application dated 2/27/13 and, quote, site plan single-family home 111 West Lane, end quote, dated August 16th, 2004, revised to March 22nd, 2013. This application is approved with the following conditions.
I don't think we had any.
No, we did. Kevin's
We
memo
still
from
had
the...
one.
No, I thought we had two. The
Three
placement
of
of
them
rocks
there.
is limited to the repair of the stairs and no boulders that are removed from the revetment. Right?
Yeah, they have John Scoucher's recommendations. We included his recommendation. Placement of rocks limited to the repair of the 2 staircases, and no boulder be removed except for those that John expressed in his letter.
But what were John Goucher's recommendations you're referring to in number 1? Isn't that the...
We've got to include the recommendations. We can't have a reference to a letter, I don't think. That'd be awkward.
Well, no, I thought that John Goucher's letter was talking about the stone bedding and...
That's in...
Correct, and movement of some.
And we decided that that wasn't.
Top rock
I thought we said that was optional based on the fact that they were not moving the rocks.
Right, so you want to leave that as a...
It's a recommendation, it's not a condition of approval.
All right, so there are no conditions of approval, but you're saying there's a recommendation of approval.
Right, I'm recommending for your condition that you note his letter of approval, so if they want to go to that step, they can do that. And 2, that the placement of the rocks is limited to those coming from the staircase, and then no other boulders are pulled up the revetment other than that what John
Okay.
expressed in his letter.
So those are the 2 conditions.
Okay.
So you get three conditions.
There are 2 conditions.
Two
and one
conditions and
recommendation.
One recommendation.
Okay.
Yeah, the recommendation is from John Goucher's, but I'd like to make it as a condition.
Neither do I.
So why don't we get the motion correct? Maybe we can add the wording there first before we go to a second.
On the following conditions, presumably would be number 2.
Okay. Oh, there we go. Okay. I'm just starting over on the approval with conditions. This application is approved with the following conditions. 1, the placement of rocks is limited to the repair of the 2 staircases. And 2, no boulders are to be removed from the revetment except for those noted in John Goucher's letter dated April 30th, 2013.
Further recommended that the applicant consider the recommendations.
It is further recommended that the applicant consider the recommendations of John Goucher in his April 30th, 2013 email to Kevin McGee.
Correct.
All right.
Second.
Well, not just a second.
Almost. So close. This application is approved based upon a finding that it conforms with the zoning code and is consistent with the coastal management policies of the state of Connecticut.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion? We did site walk the location. I think there was some concern about the ability to bring heavy equipment in to work in that area without disturbing some wetlands, which are, I believe, to the north of the property. That was, we're convinced, I believe, that can be handled. Other than that, they're just basically trying to get it back to the condition that it was prior to the storm. So I'm in favor of granting the application. Any other discussion?
I'm also in favor.
All right, hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, it's passed unanimously. Next one will be the Dudley Foundation. If we could get a motion on that one, we're going to go with the 5 of us here, I guess, since Tom has recused himself. You want, here you go.
Sure. Voted that the Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission approve a special permit revision for the Dudley Foundation at 2351 Durham Road, map 105, lot 24, to allow events not associated with the museum activities of the farm. This application is approved with the following conditions, which there aren't any.
Well, they indicated no outdoor amplified music would be taking place. Want to make that a condition?
No outdoor, I'm sorry?
No outdoor amplified music the applicant indicated that they do not have outdoor amplified music.
It was confined to the barn, if there was.
Okay, so basically the music will be confined to the barn with no amplification.
Outdoor amplification. Okay, is there any more?
The special permit is approved based upon the finding that the proposed expansion of activities will have no adverse impact on surrounding properties or the neighborhood. The special permit is effective on May 24th, 2013, and upon filing with the town clerk.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
Discussion.
This is a, I mean, I'm confused about why it's actually before us. Are they, have they been?
Museums are special permit uses, and their uses presumably need to be related to the museum uses, and a wedding reception is not necessarily related to the museum.
So the applicant discovered that some of their uses might be beyond the scope of their current permitting, and so they've come to us.
I think Reggie had a conversation with him about that. That's what.
So it's basically to increase the permitted uses to what's actually occurring on the property.
And to
or
make it clear,
has
yes,
occurred.
it's not just the farm museum activities.
Any discussion on the increased utilization? I mean, the fact is, I think probably certain items of this nature have already occurred, and there's been minimal, if any, complaints to the police department, neighbors complaining, etc. We did hear some comments tonight, but I think they were more concerned about this getting out of hand and becoming a large type of operation. I think I'm convinced, based on the testimony that I've heard, that this is sort of a self-limiting kind of a situation based on the size of the property, the size of the barn, and the statements that were made by the individuals who have responsibility for running these things. So based on that, I'm okay.
They did also mention that no events would go beyond 11 p.m.
Right.
If you want to make that a condition of approval.
I'm actually not concerned about
Yeah,
that.
I mean,
Yeah, I don't think
it
it's a
hasn't
big-
been a problem up to date. If
They're volunteers to leave at 10:30, I guess.
all right, any further discussion? Then I'll
They
call-
provide so much heritage value to the town. I think that it would be best for us to allow them as many ways to support themselves as are allowed, or as are requested in this application.
Good. Any discussion? Okay, I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? And while we're at it, we did have a request here just to waive the professionally prepared site plan. So if I could just get a motion for that, we'll have some discussion and then vote on that.
So moved.
Okay, in this case, since there's no changes at all to any existing structures or anything else, this is simply just what uses are permitted there. There's no real need to get a revised site plan since nothing's changing. So I'm okay with it. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Good. Okay, moving along to St. George's Roman Catholic Church. If I could please get a motion.
Voted that the Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission approve a special permit application for St. George's Roman Catholic Church at 41 Whitfield Street, map 39, lot 96, for an accessory structure over 750 square feet as shown on an application dated 4/15/2013 and is heard as a public hearing on May 15, 2013. This application is approved with the following conditions. 1, the contractor provides erosion control measures to protect the adjacent catch basins from siltation, and that the roof water be treated by a 2-foot deep by 2-foot wide stone trench constructed under the roof of the eaves. 2, the erosion control measure should be inspected by the zoning enforcement officer prior to any site work.
I think there is.
Was there?
Okay, the application is.
Okay, the application is approved based upon the finding that with the variance granted, it conforms with the zoning code. The special permit is effective on May 24th, 2013, and upon filing with the town clerk.
Do I hear a second?
Second?
Okay, any discussion? I think the applicant was somewhat limited here as to where they could put the structure based on the requirements from the Historic District Commission. So, you know, they didn't have their first opportunity as to where they wanted to put it. But given that that was a requirement on the applicant, I don't think we can really argue too much about the location. Other than that, I didn't really hear any problems from the public or anyone else. So given that, I'm in favor of granting the application. Any further discussion? Okay, we'll call for a vote then. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, that's granted. Okay, I'm going to try to get the next few in before we need to change the DVD. Christine Freddy, this is a CAM site plan review for construction of new residence with associated septic system and stormwater management. If I can get a motion, please.
Voted that the Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission approve a coastal site plan application for Christine Afredi at 120 Leeds Island Road, map 21, lot 27-1, for a new residence as shown on an application dated January 28, 2013, and coastal area management site plan and sanitary system design property of Christine P. Afredi, prepared by Anderson Associates, dated January 28, 2013, revised to April 8, 2013. And this application is approved with the following conditions: that the zoning enforcement officer be notified to inspect the sedimentation and erosion control measures prior to site work. Soil stockpiles should be contained by silt fencing and/or hay bales. Soil erosion and sedimentation controls measures shall be maintained until vegetation is established or suitable material is installed to the satisfaction of zoning enforcement officer. The application is approved based upon the finding that it conforms with the zoning code and is consistent with the coastal management policy of the state of Connecticut.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion. Okay, the necessary variances and Inland Wetland Commission approval was received. I believe there was a site walk here as well. Any issues noted at the site walk?
I wasn't there.
No, I was there with
Okay.
with David. Everything was fine.
All right. Any discussion? All right, let's call for a vote then. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, that's unanimous. Okay, let's try to get the Guilford, Town of Guilford ones in. The first one's Falcon Road.
I'll read it. Voted that the Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission approve a coastal site plan application for improvements to Old Quarry Road by the Town of Guilford, as shown on a application dated January 24th, 2013, and plans prepared by the Town Engineering Department. This application is approved based upon a finding that is consistent with the coastal management policies of the state of Connecticut.
Okay, this is the Old Quarry Road application, just so we're all on the same page. Okay, we had a second?
Change our mind.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, discussion. I think Sid does bring up a good point that we have to make sure what we're doing, especially in a situation like this with the tidal rise that we can anticipate. We should have a good foundation upon which to build. I think the town engineering department has thought about that, and from the testimony I heard, I think because of the fact that this is the old granite or whatever it was that's been there for so long, it has settled. However, in terms of being able to support an additional base, it sounds to me like, you know, it would accommodate that.
Kevin had a number of recommendations or potential conditions in a memo on this.
Yes, the applicant did indicate that they were aware of those and would be supportive of it, so we may want to just make a condition of the approval. Incorporate the letter from Kevin.
May 13th, 2013, regarding Old Quarry Road improvements. Tom?
That's fine with me.
And Peter, you seconded it, right?
Yes.
So are you okay with that?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so that letter will be made a condition of approval. Having said that, is there anything else anyone wants to discuss with this application? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, let us do the next one, and then we will change the DVD.
I've got a little bit to ask about Falcon Road.
Sure.
I'm probably going to.
Okay, why don't we change the DVD? We'll take a break, and we'll change the DVD and immediately come back as soon as that's completed. So we're off the record for now. Okay, let's go forward with the Falcon Road application, Town of Guilford. Does somebody want to read a motion? I have it here, if someone would like to read it.
All right, I guess I'll read it. Voted that the Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission approved a coastal site plan application for the town of Guilford for Falcon Road improvements as shown on an application dated January 24, 2013, and plans prepared by the Guilford Engineering Department. The application is approved with the following conditions, which I believe there aren't any. And the application is approved based upon the finding that it conforms with the coastal management policy of the state of Connecticut.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, discussion.
Mr. Chairman, I would just like the commission to consider the possibility that the space constraints that are limiting the engineers from making certain other choices that might be more more environmentally friendly or more appropriate might not be insurmountable. I'd ask the commission to consider continuing.
Falcon or
Falcon.
Falcon.
What,
Yeah.
yeah, what, I mean, more specific so that we can, if we were to do that, to give them some guidance as to what we're looking for.
Well, they were talking, for instance, about hooded sumps, and they were also on the previous page. He was talking about how, you know, improved treatment is not necessarily practicable at that spot.
I thought the applicant agreed that hooded sumps were going to be incorporated.
Yeah, he said he was going to incorporate hooded sumps and put, and also put a sump in there, because currently the existing condition is a depression on the side of the road with a 12-inch pipe where the water just kind of flows through and out. There is no treatment, so
Yeah.
by adding a sump and a hood there, you're treating large solids and sediment collection.
So you've already made those adjustments, and you're confident that that's the best we can do considering the spacing.
The best you can do, and the drainage area there is very small,
Mm-hmm.
so you're not collecting that much water. I
So
know that area personally, and Mark's looked into it too, and it's a very small drainage area that's being affected there, being collected by this basin there.
Okay, then I withdraw all those comments,
Okay.
and I'm in favor of this application as
There were
is.
some recommendations.
Were there some recommendations, Kevin,
Yeah, the
from your letter
recommendation
that
on
we
that
should
one
include?
was that the catch basins be protected with erosion and soil control measures until the road's paved, and also the concrete wastewater from when it's sprayed on the chute gets collected into a container and disposed on offline areas, so it's not sprayed off on the rock and into Long Island
Okay,
Sound.
and the applicant did indicate that they were aware of those and had no problem, so I guess I would ask is, should we, whoever made the motion, would you be okay if we amended the motion to include a reference to the letter?
Yes, that makes
Just
sense.
as we did last time?
Yes.
From Kevin, dated May 13th, 2003.
Second,
And you're okay with reseconding that? So the motion then before us is as read with the addition of the conditions, incorporating the conditions in Kevin's letter from May 13th. Having said that, are there any further discussion about it? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. Okay, we're going to go back now to the Sciano application. Before we get a motion
Chairman,
on
did
the
you
table,
wanna-
though. Yes?
Did you want to consider doing the 3 minor site plan applications before you get back to your discussion?
Well, I think at this point, since it's, I'd probably want to just go back and clear the public hearing. If we do have a lot of people here still for that one, so, I mean, no matter how we cut it, we're going to have to deal with it. So before we make a motion, I think this may be one where we have some discussion first, going around the table. We've done that in the past. So you're off. Why don't we start with you, Peter, and we'll go around the table to just get a general feeling at this point before we get a motion on the table.
Yeah, this past Saturday, we did a site walk, and I was very impressed with the facilities. It's very spotless. There's a lot of charm to it. It adds to the community, and I was happy to be there. I know there's a lot of references made to the Durham ice cream place. I think that reference is totally irrelevant. Durham sells ice cream. That's all they sell. The area is a very densely populated area. If someone mentioned there's 3 or 4 streets there. People that live in Guilford, for instance, I live in downtown. I am not going to drive to North Guilford to buy ice cream. I think people in Durham are not going to drive down to North Guilford to buy ice cream. So basically what I'm saying is this is an existing business that basically it's an extension. They're going to add ice cream to a viable business. I see nothing wrong with that. So I'm all in favor of it. And I talked to a lot of the neighbors in that area when I was up in that area, and they like it. They're all in favor of it as well. So I think it's a, as they say, a layup I think they should have an ice cream facility.
Clarification, were those ex parte communications you were referring to when you just said that? I'm serious. Are you, I mean, are yours?
I was at a party and somebody mentioned it to me.
Okay.
They were, basically, they saw the program, and it was one of the neighbors of Mrs. Smith.
So they volunteered the information, you didn't ask or anything?
I did not talk about it, they came to me specifically and told me about that.
Okay. Frank?
My biggest sticking point in the beginning was the lack of a more professional drawing and engineered site plan, which I think has cleared up a lot of the issues. And the traffic, having somebody of an expert, not necessarily a traffic study, but having the chief of police who deals with traffic on a regular basis, and usually a chief of police is called in when they're doing traffic studies to give an opinion. And with making the entrances the way they are, that was my biggest concern, was the traffic, and I think that's been addressed. My only thought is, and I stuck to this the last meeting, is if it is a approval motion made, I would strongly recommend that they do not do the trial basis for 1 year. I just don't see that that is necessary.
All right. David?
Well, one of the things that I noted was that many people were testifying in favor of it based off of their personal relationship with the current owners of the property. And it struck me that one of the good reasons to have the approval on a 1 year trial basis is to get a handle on just, in fact, what kind of traffic flow we are dealing with. And also, while we can't control who owns the property, to the extent that a lot of people were in favor, again, it seemed to be directly related to their favorable opinion of the current owners. If that were to change, maybe people's opinions of how the operation were run might change. What struck me the most, while I like the idea of it, and I think a lot of people were saying they like the notion of an ice cream facility at this place, at some point, if we do have a motion to approve, someone's going to have to utter the words that it conforms with the zoning code. I'm fairly confident I won't be the one uttering those words, because what this is apparently a farm stand, and when I look at the definition of a farm stand, as the attorney pointed out, at least 50% of all farm products must be produced by the farmer of the stand, and I'm not quite sure if that's going to be the case. I don't remember any testimony that affirmatively established that they felt that more than 50% of the products were produced on the farm. I like the idea of it. I'm in favor of the notion of it, but I'm also in favor of us following our zoning regulations. I know I cause trouble when I recommend that we actually read and follow them, but in this case, I think that's where I come down.
There is also that other provision in that section that allows for the 20% of the activity being farm-related, which, again, that's a little bit vague, but I think in the past, this is an adaptation of language that we used to have under the old regulations when the Ag Commission rewrote the regulations for us, or helped us. They came up with this new language, and I think 20% was kind of intended to be sort of non-farm products.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you can read it broadly. You can say, I mean,
that's my point.
Some of it is, some of the farm products are not necessarily specific to this property, but they are presumably Connecticut dairy cows.
Right.
And so you can, if you want to read it broadly, you can.
And you could also read the 20% as being not, if you don't consider ice creams have to be a farm product. It's a farm-related.
Yeah, I mean, it says at least 50% of all farm products must be produced by the farmer of the stand. Now, I think we've heard testimony that supports that, because we heard they sell eggplant, they sell the wool, there were a couple of other products that were, so right off the bat, if you add ice cream.
Tomatoes, strawberries, blueberries.
It's well over 50%, even if you say the ice cream is not a product produced on the farm, you're still well over that bogey of 50%. So I think it would, in my reading of it, granted, this is not the way I would have written this, okay? But given that we're stuck with the language in effect at the time the applicant files the application, I think it'd be pretty easy to make an argument that more than 50% of the products sold there are produced by the farmer. But anyways, I'll wait till it's my turn. David, are you finished, or do we need to move on to?
No, other than I am concerned about, I think the majority of the traffic will be coming off of 77, and that X intersection, those bridges are, while quaint, probably not suited for heavy use, and that's my other concern with limiting it to 1 year, is to just get a handle on what we're dealing with. I'm also a little confused by exactly what the hours of operation that they sought in their application and what they're seeking now. It looked as if the original cocktail napkin had some notations about maybe being closed on Monday, and
The material they submitted tonight is this piece right here, which has the 11:30 to 9, Monday through Sunday on it, March through October. So presumably, and I think that's what they testified to also.
7 days a week.
7 days a week. The original materials, I think, had 6 days a week.
I was under the impression that their plan is to be closed on Monday, but that they wanted to request every day. I'm sorry.
Well, that's all right. No, I mean, why don't we go in order?
Go in order.
So you're.
I think that by item, I think that the applicant has met the text of 273, 245C. Also there, but beyond that, they're requesting our permission to open an ice cream shop specifically. And they understand that they don't necessarily currently have it. So they're requesting an expansion above and beyond 273, 245C. For me, the neighbors that were not in favor really brought up 4 main lines of issues that Attorney Crosby brought up, of course, some procedural things, including a traffic study, but the neighbors who were not in favor brought up noise, traffic, light pollution, trash, and perhaps, combined with traffic, we have the increased volume of people. Now, I think that noise and traffic are significant problems, but a lot of this traffic will already exist there. I'm not really sure. I'm not sure how much is really generated compared with the people who are already at the lake or who are already within the vicinity to be involved here. In terms of trash, the applicant has allayed my concerns about trash. The benches for me are a confusion and a sticking point, and I have from Attorney Crosby, obviously, we have a couple of older applications that have similar flaws, like the 2005 application for an extra external structure that seems to be a drawing of a house with a not to scale. It's like a pentagon. But ultimately, this business owner has a track record of success. This business owner's, the traffic already exists. The trash concerns have been handled. And they do provide a lot of what we're looking for our town, specifically opportunities to celebrate our heritage, opportunities for family-oriented activities, opportunities to celebrate our agricultural history. And I think that those outweigh my concerns, particularly about traffic and population.
All right. Again, it's a residential area. I understand the folks who live around there who are concerned about the situation getting out of hand, and just having to deal with more traffic, more noise, more pollution, et cetera, et cetera. However, I think also we've had a track record with this applicant. There doesn't appear to have been, at least nobody's entered into the record, a lot of complaints that have been made with the police, a lot of arrests that have occurred there, or a lot of accidents that have occurred in that area. Now, there is probably going to be some increase in the traffic. The question always is how much, and is that going to be a burden either to the other folks living there, or is it going to increase the safety concerns? A lot of people brought up comments that we ought to require a traffic study because they feel it might be a problem. However, I think we have gone the extra step of asking the town engineer and the police chief to weigh in on it, and their feeling was that this additional traffic, although we don't know exactly how much it is, and I don't know how you really figure out how much it is, because this isn't, I agree with Peter, this isn't the same as Durham. This isn't just an ice cream business. It's a lot of other stuff with some ice cream there. So I don't think that is a good comparison in terms of how much traffic would be generated. They felt that, there are the subject matter experts that we refer to, felt that this was okay and could be handled with the changes they requested and which the applicant has agreed to. Now, I also will say that I wouldn't, if the majority was in favor of putting a 1 or 2 year limit on this, I wouldn't be opposed to that, just to make sure that all of the things that we think are going to happen will happen, and that there won't be an unreasonable increase in traffic or the accident rate or some kind of impact to the remaining neighbors. You got to weigh that against the fact that there'll be capital investment here. I feel uncomfortable with it in the sense that they're going to have to invest some money to get this business up and running, and then in a year you pull the rug out from under them and say, well, it was nice, but we don't think it could happen. On the other hand, you could argue that that's more incentive for the owners to make sure that things do go well there, and that the operation minimizes any impact in terms of traffic, and that the traffic flow is the way it's supposed to be. So, again, I can go either way on that one. I'm generally in favor of the application for the reasons I stated. I do think it conforms to Section C of 273-245. I will agree with anyone here who says that's not a well-written regulation and that it's subject to be interpreted a number of ways, but I think because we wrote it, we have to basically interpret that ambiguity in favor of the applicant here, unless someone can show where we've interpreted it differently. And I think you can make an argument that 50% of all farm products produced here, are produced on the farm. Matter of fact, everything sounds like it's produced on the farm with the exception of this one. So I don't see how we can not say that it conforms to it. Although that may not have been the intent, that's an argument you can make to say that it does conform to the way it's written. So to summarize, I'm okay with it. I would vote in favor of it if the majority feels we should put some kind of a time limit on this. I'm willing to consider that part. So,
Someone throw out a motion?
I got a question first, because in the motion it has May, and they're requesting March as the operation date. So we're going to change that as well?
Just mentioned mid-March as the earliest
yes.
point.
What we heard is that they're going to start, Easter moves around, and I guess that's when they have the check day or something, and it's usually, 2 weeks prior to that. So I think it's going to be difficult to give an exact date, but, we can say March to September 30th. I know that they had indicated that they were going to sort of wrap it up September 30th. Maybe you can go to mid-October. Again, the other thing I would say about I agree with David that there was some vagueness to the application initially based on what we heard tonight. However, the times were not published in the public notice, so I don't think that we could necessarily say that it couldn't be modified here. We did pin the applicant down. I asked the question, I said, okay, when are you looking to start and end, and what are the times that you're looking for? And we did get that. That was on the record. People had an opportunity to comment for or against that, so I think we've done procedurally our due diligence there. So I guess the thing to talk about now is what would be the conditions if in general people feel that, I think what I'm sensing is that the majority is probably going to be in favor of this. Let's talk about what conditions ought to be, if any, should be placed on the application.
Well, I agree with Frank about the fact that if you limit it to 1 year, there's a tremendous amount of cost involved to start up the operation. I would like to go considerably longer, if not even, just scratch it out and not even consider a trial, just go forward with it. Because there is a business there. It's not like a new venture that we have no idea what the traffic is going to be. We know on certain days, the Chick Day, they have 100 cars, and that's not going to change. It's going to continue to do that. So I don't think it's going to have incrementally larger impact on traffic than what there is right now on 77.
Frank, you still feel that we probably don't want to put that condition in, I would assume?
Yeah, I wouldn't want a condition.
All right.
The neighbors who were opposed, all of their concerns could come to pass. I mean, that bottleneck is quite tight. We don't have a traffic study, and noise is a significant concern, and depending on how trash is dealt with, it could be almost no problem or a very serious problem. And that's, I think, when the police chief recommended the 1 year time frame, I think that he was saying that really.
Can I?
Yeah, please.
The applicant has agreed to 1 year. They are confident enough that they're going to be successful and this is not going to be a problem.
Yeah.
They've agreed to 1 year limitation.
They've agreed.
They would never, Chief Terabile and Jim Portley were out there. They agreed with, they discussed it and
All right.
agreed.
Well, then that shouldn't be a problem. It should be an academic discussion we're having here, if that's the case. Thank you for pointing
Thank you.
it out.
Last question then is, so at the end of that year, are we going through this whole thing again with the public hearing and to extend this?
Yes, they would
So
need
we
to come back for a special permit, and at that time, I think
Might be a lot less
might
hypothetical.
be less hypotheticals here and more facts that we could really deal with to say, if someone says, well, there's been a lot of trash, okay, now where's the proof? The traffic is too much, there's been accidents. Well, now we'll have some numbers that we could look at to see whether that is a fact or just an opinion. So I think that's what the intent of that is. The answer to your question is yes, they would need to come back, and we would need to go through this process again. But I think at that point, you'd have more of a basis to approve it, period, without any time limit, or to shut it down if the situation does get out of control and some of the complaints we've heard from the neighbors actually do come to fruition.
So what we would actually be agreeing to tonight would be until September 31st of this year, or September 30th. There are only 30 days in September.
Yeah, one thing,
just to be clear.
one sort of practical consideration is, we're not quite sure how quickly this thing's going to get up and running. Clearly the busiest times are going to be during the summer. Maybe halfway through the summer before this thing even gets going. So maybe be more than a year might be reasonable. Seasons at least.
Yeah, at this point, because we're limiting it to a year, well, I think the hours of operation might be something we'd consider. I don't think I would put a limit on. If they want to go till October, that's fine. Okay, it might even give us more data in which to look at and see if there really is a problem. So my proposal would be that we go with the approval based on a trial period of 1 year, that we restrict the hours of operation to what the applicant has asked for, which I believe is 11:30 a.m. to 9 p.m., Monday through Sunday. They've also put on their application through October, so if you want, I'll be happy to go with October 31st to limit it from today until then.
So 1 year from today?
Well, no, what would happen is
18 months or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be 18 months.
Yeah, 18 months.
Right.
Okay. So is
So
it?
that'd be October 2015.
Correct.
Yes, exactly.
Correct.
Okay.
2004.
15.
15. is we're limiting it, you know, this year and into next, so it's be a full.
1.5 seasons,
Right,
basically.
1.5 seasons.
No, it's 14.
2014.
It's next
We're in May
October.
of 2013.
Yes, yes,
Yeah, okay.
you're right, Joe, 2014. All right, so would somebody like to attempt to formulate a motion based on what we've discussed? And we will also include in the memo from James Portley, Town Engineer, dated May 14th, into it.
I
So,
think the draft motion includes all that stuff.
okay. Can I ask someone then to read a draft motion?
I'll read it. I voted that the Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission approve an application from Tony and Gennaro Schiavone to allow an ice cream shop at 31 Lake Drive, map 114, lot 9A1, as shown on Lakeside Ice Cream Parlor, proposed site plan dated 3rd of May 2013, prepared by Charney Architects, as heard at a public hearing on April 17th and May 15th, 2013. The application is approved with the following conditions: that the plan be revised in accordance with the memo to the Commission from James Portley, Town Engineer, dated May 14, 2013. Number 2, that the traffic control signage be installed on site prior to issuance of certificate of zoning compliance for the ice cream shop and be inspected by the town engineer. Number 3, the hours of operation be restricted from 11:30 to 9 p.m. from Monday through Sunday. And the dates of operation will be from March to September 30th each year.
I thought it was through October.
October 31st.
31st.
Okay, October
Okay.
31st. Okay. And this approval is based on the basis of, will terminate on October 31st, 2014.
Okay, so this approval is on a trial basis up until October 31st, 2014.
Yep. The application is approved based upon a finding that it conforms with the zoning code.
That first condition you can eliminate and reference the Charney drawing.
Yes,
It's the
dated
15th
drawing.
of May 2013, because they've done that.
Okay. So then what we want to do is just up to May 15, 2013, which I think was already read, right? Peter, you already read
Yes.
that part. So we would not need to have condition 1, since that's already been agreed to in the plans that have been submitted before us. Okay. You're okay with that modification?
Yes.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second it, just change the 3013 to 2013.
Yeah, that's right. It's, shows 3013 on the,
And we'll change Schiavone to Schiano.
yeah, no. Good. Close enough. All right, let's get some discussion on it.
Speed reading.
I mean, I think what we're trying to do here too is balance the rights of the parties. I know this is a special permit, and we do have quite a bit of discretion here, so I think it's appropriate to trial this thing to see how well it goes, because the concerns that the neighbors have that were against it could turn out to be, true. And on the other hand, if things go the way the applicant says they're going to go, and which a lot of the operations have gone up until this point, it may not be that much of a problem. And I think we'll be in a better position in a year and a half or so from now to take a look at it and really have some facts before us to decide once and for all, does it go forward or does it end? All right.
The external light on the south side of the ice cream shop that is currently existing, that was referenced by the property owner immediately south. The last photo that we were given showed that it was pretty powerful,
Yes.
cut through the trees, and my experience on that property correlates with that, and the arborvitae that we discussed putting in doesn't seem to deal with that problem. I suspect that the applicant would be amenable to adjusting that light.
I would say, it's a pre-existing condition, probably not the subject of this, is what they're doing here isn't going to make it worse or better, but I would strongly
But
suggest,
since it's on the same
yes,
building, we could
to the
get
applicant that they
specific.
work with the neighbor to try to eliminate that issue, or to put a shade on it, or to get that pointed more down towards the ground, or to try to in some way limit the light carryover into
No,
the
but
yard.
I don't, by that picture, you can't tell if there's actually any light spillage, just because you could see a light from, I could see lights from the high school where I am, but there's no spillage on my property, so I would strongly,
Well,
unless we
it's-
know that there's some spillage, I
think
won't
there
even
is.
address this right
Well,
now.
it's a pre-existing condition. I think all we can do is make the suggestion. Beyond that,
Becomes a
there's not a lot more we can do, and, just being a good neighbor policy, if you can get a meeting of the minds here, that'd be great, but, it's nothing we can umpire, and there's nothing we can really do here. All right, I guess, is there any other discussion?
I
David?
like the, well, no, I just want to say that I like the fact that the motion has been drafted so as to have essentially a trial period, because then we'll have a much better sense of what the reality is. I'm still stuck on the definition, whether the applicant actually established whether this qualifies as a farm stand, and I don't think it did, but I'm ultimately in favor of how the motion's drafted at least.
And I would ask that it be amended to be March 10th instead of March, because they did mention mid-March as their earliest possible starting time, but that's not dispositive for me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not, 10 days isn't going to make a big difference to me, so.
Okay.
The motion is as it stands. Let's
Okay.
have a vote on it. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, so all in favor with the exception of one. It's carried. All right, so let's move on with the agenda since we still have some business before us. The first item is Richard Gustafson, Kennedy Perkins, Shoreline Plaza. This is site plan revision to allow construction of concrete block utility room at the rear of the building between Kennedy Perkins and Yuppie Puppy. By the way, before we get to that one, we also had a request to waive a professionally prepared site plan with the Ciano application. So can I get a motion on that?
I move that we waive the professionally prepared site plan.
Okay, do I hear a second? Okay, I would say that what we had the first time before us, I would not have been in favor of it, okay? However, what came this time with the assistance of a licensed architect, while not a perfect A2 survey, obviously, was, I think, adequate for the purposes of what we needed. And again, we have this locked in on the trial period, so. Any other discussion?
I
Hearing
think
none?
it was adequate. There were some flaws, but I think they were acceptable.
Good. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, it's been waived. All right, moving forward. So, I'm sorry, sir, we're going to take up your application now. I'll just call to the Commission's attention that there is a request to waive a professionally prepared site plan for this as well. Sir?
We're going to put the surveyor out of business here.
Okay, please.
My name is Rich Gustafson. I live at 786 Derby Milford Road in Orange, Connecticut. And I'm a contractor representing Brooks Properties, the owners of the Shoreline Plaza at 830 Boston Post Road. Right now, back in the plaza, there's a wood frame structure. It's the electrical utility room that was built originally with the plaza. Very crude construction, built without a foundation, right on the asphalt parking lot. It's deteriorated. It's rotten, falling apart. You can see how it's separated from the building, from the side, the tops. The door won't shut. Dumpster trucks probably hit the building and shifted over a foot. The electrical conduits are really the only thing that's holding this building from falling into the parking lot. It's that bad of a condition. To build a new building, I suggest, concrete block. It's got to be put on a new foundation. I can't dig right underneath the existing footprint of the building. I have to move at least 3 foot out just to build it, and the meter's going to have to be moved to the concrete wall. Right now, from the edge of the building to the curb side and the right side, existing is 19 feet. If I move it out 3 feet, you still have 16 feet. Any tractor trailers, the maximum widths are 8'2", so there's plenty of room. This is only access for delivery trucks in the back of the plaza. It's not for public, traffic at all. It's a straight run, so it wouldn't really impede anybody, way down the corner behind Whole Foods, to turn a 90-degree turn.
We got Whole Foods?
Big one.
I don't know how many people this town would have been.
So, I'm a little tired now. But it is a straight access behind here, so decreasing it to 3 foot, down to the 16-foot width shouldn't be a problem with any vehicle that has to go back there. So,
All right, we have a letter in the file dated May 15th from Kevin McGee, environmental planner. The applicant is proposing to construct a 9 by 27-foot concrete block electrical room set on concrete footings. The erosion and sedimentation control measures approved by the Inland Wetlands Commission are designed to protect the adjacent inland wetlands from sedimentation caused by the construction activities. The Guilford Inland Wetlands Commission at its May 4th, 2013 walk meeting approved the conditions, with conditions to regulated activity within the 100-foot jurisdictional review zone. And I assume it was erosion control was the condition they attached to that, Kevin?
That, and also require them to police the area monthly to pick up litter and debris. There's a bunch of debris and stuff being pushed into wetlands.
So you're aware of those conditions, and those are okay with you?
yeah, I informed folks property because you can see the back alley is also for all the dumpsters. And I guess a couple of the tenants around here, they overflow.
Okay.
The wind blows them in and it collects out there. So they've been made aware of it. I'm sure it's been cleaned up by now.
All right.
Very good.
Any questions for the applicant, or any discussion on the application with the applicant?
Something has to be done on this immediately. The
Yeah.
Inland Wetlands Commission went out there. We should really act very quickly.
It is a hazard. It is present condition.
It's a hazard in many ways.
The meter sockets, the electrical panels, they're all rusting and rotten from all the rain leaking through from years.
Okay.
You know.
Well, why don't we get a motion then on the table?
Tom, you haven't read anything today?
It's right here. There we go.
I was confused by Kennedy Perkins.
I believe that's one of the stores.
Voted that the Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission approve a site plan revision for an addition at Shoreline Plaza, 830 Boston Post Road, map 47, lot 22B, as shown on plans dated March 27, 2013, prepared by the applicant. The application is approved with the following conditions, and I don't think we have any of the wetlands that put conditions on it already, right?
Yeah, wetlands are in effect, so.
Okay. This application is approved based upon a finding that it conforms to the zoning code.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
Do I hear any discussion on it? I think Walter, our representative in the Wetlands, told us about the conditions there, and it seems to me that something needs to be done fairly quickly, and this doesn't seem to have a lot of impact since it's in the rear, and obviously it's an improvement to the current situation. Any other comments, discussion? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, you're all set.
I'm okay to proceed to building?
Well, I think you just have to actually
Get a permit,
get
right?
the permit and file it on the land records, right?
No, it's a site
Get
plan.
the file.
All right, so
Get a
he's all
building
set then
permit.
with that.
Yes.
One other thing we'll take up, though, is a request to waive a professionally prepared site plan. Can I get a motion on that?
I'll
So
second.
moved.
I'll second that.
All right, second. Any discussion?
You can first this.
Again, you know, where this is located and behind the building, and with the description we've had here, I think we're adequate to move forward with
It's very
this.
clear
Gotta be
what they're
done,
doing.
period.
All right, all in favor of that?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, anybody opposed? Okay, you're good to go then.
Thanks very much. Have a good night.
Okay, thank you. Stephanie Hoffman Carter, this is property located 20 Water Street, site plan revision to allow a change of use from retail sales to personal service. Receive and take action. If I can get a motion to receive.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, please, let us know what you'd like to do. Yeah, I know.
You know, we have whatever you want to do, that's for sure.
Stephanie Evans, 76 Broad Street, Milford. And we're looking to have a change of use on 23 Water Street from retail to personal. I'm moving my salon from Woodfield to Water Street.
Okay. George, there's no parking issues or anything else from the checklist?
Nothing changes, right.
Okay.
Which one was 23 Water Building 1?
Where the chorus was.
We have a letter in the file from Dennis Johnson, Director of Health, dated May 15th, regarding this application. The applicant's proposed change in use is compatible with the recently enlarged wastewater system serving the proposed personal service establishment, so it doesn't look like we have any issues there. Any questions for the applicant before we get a motion? All right, if I can get a motion, please.
This one, voted that the Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission approve a change in use from retail store to personal service establishment at 23 Water Street.
Building 1, Unit 1, map 39, lot 86. This application is approved based upon a finding that it conforms with the zoning code. There were no conditions, right?
That's
What you
correct.
said? Okay.
All right, do I hear a second?
Second.
Discussion. Apparently, it meets the checklist, parking's not an issue, there's no septic system issue, which are two concerns we generally have. Appears to be a compatible use, similar types of operations around that area. So I'm in favor of the change. Anyone else have any comments or discussion? Okay, hearing none, we'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, unanimous. All right.
Good luck.
Yes. We have one last application. I don't see anyone
They're
else
not here.
in the room.
You know, we got that in the mail. He sent it to me, so I'm sure he was not expecting to be able to catch the agenda this quick.
All right,
so-
well, why don't we then just move this off?
Yeah,
We haven't
next
received it
meeting.
yet, so we'll just not receive it and let it go until the next one.
Why don't you receive it? And then
Yeah.
we'll,
Okay, we can do that. You're right, George. Can I get a motion to receive this application?
So moved.
Here,
Second.
All in favor of receiving it?
Aye.
Okay, we'll put it on the next agenda. Guilford High School property located 605 New England Road. This is a site plan revision to allow relocation of road courses, walkway, and landscaping. Receive and add to the agenda for June 5th. Get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you, that's on there. Cease and desist orders, I believe Reggie is...
table that, Reggie's not here.
Okay. Nope, that was just the one we just received, Guilford High School. The next one, CAM Site Plans, Carlton and Gretchen Granberry's property located 982 Leeds Island Road, special permit for accessory structure over 750 square feet in coastal area management site plan review for construction of accessory structure within 100 feet of the critical coastal resource. Receive and set a public hearing date of 6/19.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And we'll put this on the agenda for a site walk
What's
on
up
June
with the
15th.
waiver of a site plan request?
What about
I mean, it sounds like they're building a building within 100 feet of...
Okay, I just requested it.
Well,
So
I mean,
there it is.
they can request it, we don't have to grant it, so let's see what we get, and if it's
Granberry?
appropriate.
Granberry's an architect.
Well, if it's,
Maybe his drawing is in the file, maybe he did it.
well, let's, yeah, I mean, let's wait and we'll see, and when we do
Yeah,
this.
sure.
David,
Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. Okay, special permits, Rick and Jane Schulten, property located 1820 Moose Hill Road. This is a special permit to allow a two-family conversion. Receive and set a public hearing for 6/5.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Arthur Murray School of Dance, property located 11 Water Street. This is a special permit to allow a studio for dance instruction in the C1 zone. Receive and set a public hearing for 6/5.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, under other business, I'd just like to mention to the entire commission that Mike Sassine has submitted his resignation to the Board of Selectmen, and I would personally like to thank Mike for the dedicated service he provided to the commission over the years. He always had a well-reasoned opinion and provided this commission with a lot of good input and a lot of sound decision-making, I think, and we're going to really miss Mike's contribution to this commission. So, Mike, out there, we wish you the best, and hope your replacement is half as good as you were.
Not live. This isn't live.
All right, moving along, the Planning Committee, the next meeting will be May 21st at 5:15 PM in the Selectmen's Meeting Room. And then the next zoning committee meeting will be June 10th at 5 PM in Town Hall South. If I could get a motion to pay Shore Publishing a bill for $275.95.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor of paying the bills?
Aye.
Okay. We have the minutes in the package from, I believe, April 17th. And we'd like to get those approved, so if I could ask anybody first before we get a motion, if there's any updates, changes, modifications. Okay, hearing none, I'll call for a motion to accept those minutes.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, last opportunity to review and make any changes.
They looked good to me. They had a lot of detail this time.
Okay.
Great.
Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
I abstain, I was
Okay.
One abstention.
One abstention. Tom abstained.
You weren't here, Tom, that's right.
In addition, we have the minutes for the May 1st meeting before us, so I'll just ask if there's any updates, changes, modifications, etc. Okay, hearing none, I'll call for a motion to accept these minutes.
So moved.
Don't I have to abstain from this?
If you were not, you were here.
Says you're here.
Okay, yes, I'm sorry.
Okay, so do I get a second?
Second.
Okay, any last opportunity, any updates, changes?
Look good.
Good, very good. Then hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, it's approved. Having no more business, call for a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye, we're adjourned.